Let there be light.
Ha! For once it's me that's sitting down and you're not organised.
Oh, what? No, impossible. Fake news, misinformation. Can't possibly be true. Oh. Well, I love the fact that you're halfway between houses at the moment.
And my house here is chaos. Are you going to tell everyone our dirty secret?
Well, I was going to tell them that it looks like something out of Beirut from back when they were having their civil war. It ain't pretty.
No, it's not.
You know, you pull a house to pieces, it's in pieces.
Moving house sucks.
It does, yes.
It sucks. You know, I just went to the new house just before you got here and just to sort of look at things. And houses look way smaller when they're empty.
What, you mean way bigger or way smaller?
No, smaller.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Because you've got no reference point for what
How
goes
big
where.
something is. I know bedrooms, whenever I walk into an empty bedroom, it does look like, does a bed fit in here? Does that?
Yeah.
Surely not.
And
But
I know it does because when we looked at the house, it was fully
Staged.
furnished.
Yeah. They'd used midget furniture.
Yeah. I was like, hang on a minute. Not quite sure. But it's weird because we're in a McMansion here. So
Yes. No,
everything's gonna feel
you've
small.
got a lovely big place, and unfortunately, you've not been able to keep up that run of lovely big places. However, I will say it's, you know, sort of the height of luxury that you're sitting here whinging about cost of living and how hard it is to rent. But you've got two bloody houses. There's only two of you. There's only two of you, and you've got a house each
Between
for
the
a week.
between the two of us, we have 11 bedrooms.
Yeah, it's like first world problems, Carly. First world problems. I don't want to hear it.
Do you know what was interesting? I think I said this when we were looking. There's not a lot out there.
No.
Nothing. And we wanted to stay sort of as close to where we are as possible. And there was 5 houses.
Sorry, no, say it correctly. You wanted to stay as far away from me as possible.
That's true. We were actually thinking of moving like down to the peninsula. We're like maybe
just
drive
further,
8 hours.
Yeah. Oh, I already drive 8 hours. Just
Return?
Yeah, return.
I
yeah.
meant one way.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, at that point, we are going to have to raise some more money and get a plane. Hey, if you live near the coast, we can just get a float plane, and I'll just come in and land on the water out the front of your house. You know.
I have loaded up so many videos, but I dare say there's more. So I'm just gonna.
I have a sneaking suspicion this is going to be a spicy episode.
Do you reckon?
I think there's a few things. Look, we talk just, you know, for those that are watching and maybe, you know, first time, whatever. Carly and I are talking, of course, during the week, and I think we might have found our first real argument. The hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. I'm like, oh, this could be it.
I don't have any energy for an argument, but okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're halfway through moving house, so I've got you while you're down.
Yeah.
You know, I've got you in a vulnerable position. Let's have a fight.
All right, let's have a fight. Shall we pick a word?
Oh, look, we probably should. You know, are we keeping track of who's winning at the moment?
It's even.
It is even, is it? Yeah.
Because there was 2 weeks where we didn't use the word.
Yes, yeah, there were. And look, I was going to say, I feel like it is pretty close, but I wasn't sure.
You've won the last 2. I won the first 3.
Yeah, okay.
And then
so I've done a bit of a catch up. Yeah. Okay.
The issue is we keep using words that I can't pronounce. And so I can't get them out of my mouth.
We keep using words that I can't remember. I'm looking at the book over the other side of the table. I'm like, it's too far away for me to reach. I have to refresh myself of what the word of the day was.
All right, ready?
You knew what I meant.
Okay, left or right?
Go left. Pick your favourite.
Obeisance?
Obeisance?
Obeisance. That's not how it looks like it's pronounced.
No?
Differential respect or homage or an active gesture expressing the same.
Yeah, I thought that was obeisance.
No, it says obeisance in the book. Am I wrong?
Obeisance. I might have been pronouncing that wrong all my life, but it is a word I use. So you'll have to find something else.
Obeisance.
Objurgatory.
What?
I've never heard of this one.
Objurgatory.
A critical attitude voicing or implying an objection or complaint. I can to some extent sympathise with the objurgatory tone of certain critics who feel that I write too much. Again, terrible example.
I feel like I can use that against you.
But see, obdurate, obsequious, oblique, all the other words are words that I know and use.
Objurgatory. Objectatory.
No, objurgatory.
I get it, but it's spelt objectatory.
Well, no, it's spelt objurgatory.
Oh, I've typed in the wrong word then. Hang on.
Oh, you... Yeah, cheater. You're putting it on your screen so that you've got reference. I'm keeping the book.
Yeah, you keep the book.
I'm keeping the book.
I play to win, bro.
You cheater. Objurgatory.
around.
You've got... Oh, wow. That is clever. I've got to give you that. That is clever.
Objurgation.
Objurgatory. OBJUR.
I've got it here. Hang on. I was going to play it if it will let me.
You're going to play it?
I was going to play the sound.
Oh.
It's not playing. Are we having that problem again?
I don't know.
We should probably try this before we start recording.
No, then it wouldn't be the Oddcast. We are literally chatting. We walk up in the room, we press record at some random point in time, regardless of whether we're actually ready to sit down. And that's how we start.
That is how we start. Yeah. So I'll just let my Mac restart.
I was going to say, you murdering, you look like you're strangling your
Just
computer
like,
to death there. You're like,
I'll restart.
you will die. It feels like that scene out of Lord of the Rings.
I think this thing hates me at the moment.
Right. I can
Because
understand
I've
that.
just been typing my exegesis and there is so much stuff. My desktop looks like a war zone.
I'm sorry. You keep telling me how great Macs are, and then you tell me that it can't handle word processing.
It can't handle me.
Okay.
I have 50,000 tabs open.
I do have sympathy for that. Yes.
50,000 tabs open. And the other thing is too, you guys only see one Google Chrome browser. I have about three with 50 tabs open.
Yeah. But see, I do that for every video. I'll be working on 3 videos at a time, and I'll have a different browser open, and in that browser there could be
that's how I work.
Dozens of tabs. And my computer runs fine.
And I also have
I'll also have a video editing platform open in the background doing other things, and it runs fine.
I had almost a terabyte of photos on here that I need to edit.
Photos can get pretty intense. I will give it that. People sort of think, oh, it's only a photo. No. A raw, particularly photo with a good bit depth, those get pretty intense. And as a photographer, you open up a heap of them at once because you're going to apply a look to them all or whatever. Look, I have some sympathy for computers choking on photography.
No, I think it's just more like it's like, I'm done with you. I am so done with you. And to be fair, I understand.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
I'm done with me too, if I'm honest.
Yeah, look, I get that way.
I get annoyed with myself.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, I get particularly annoyed at past me for having let current me down.
Yeah.
But then simultaneously, I'm a hypocrite because I get annoyed at future me demanding that current me step up.
Yeah, and putting too much pressure on current you.
Yeah, and then future me is going to, and when future me becomes current me, I'm going to look back at present me, which by then will be past me. I'll be like, you nonce.
Yeah, I think that's just the high achieving attitude.
Yeah, probably.
So, have you got good news?
Objurgatory.
Oh, it worked. I have good news.
Objurgatory.
Your audio worked, although your computer has an American accent.
Objurgatory.
Maybe that's why it's useless. It's American. Objurgatory.
Objurgatory. I'm going to forget that, but I'm going to try. Do you know how many useless 20-syllable words I have crammed into my essay?
No.
It's fantastic.
And I never will, because I will never read it.
Oh, it's fantastic. You think I'm not going to read it to you?
Oh, wow. Special edition of the Oddcast.
You are all going to read my exegesis.
This is the insomnia cure edition.
I have laboured over this bloody thing. But my favourite thing is, hang on, where is it? I had to write an artist statement. It's so wanky. I was like, how can I make this as detestable,
superbly bad,
and just like superfluous and just full of, to make everyone go, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My good news is I had a weekend that was actually a weekend this last weekend.
Oh, you actually had a weekend.
I actually had a weekend. I managed to get all of my work done by Friday and scheduled through the weekend so that I only had to do a little bit. I say I had a weekend. I had to do a little bit of work, but it was sort of the minimum amount that can be organised in my current phase of life. We had no dinners, no guests, no obligations, no travel, no meetings, no online calls, nothing for 2 days.
That is lovely.
That is the first time I've accomplished that in a very long time. Certainly since Christmas, New Year, but even then, I it's hard to actually carve out time even during that time of year. So that was something of an accomplishment because it's taken me now 7-8 months of doing the TOFA project in the form that you see it today to build the team to the point that I can get 7 days worth of work done in 5 days and be able to take that weekend off. So that's my good news. I actually had a weekend, and that is a once off. Next weekend I'm off at a conference, and the weekends after that I've already got bookings and things already in. So I was like, this one is protected.
This will be the weekend.
This is the special child. We must protect it.
I would love a weekend off.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that
good.
means.
It was good.
Between now and the next, till October the 30, no, actually it'll be November the 3rd.
That's because every time you try and take a day off, you can just hear me in the background going, "Work, Carly. Where's my
It's not just
website,
you.
Carly?"
This friggin' uni thing, I'm just like, oh my God, it needs to die. I'm done.
So how long before that is over and I never have to hear you whinge about it again?
30th of October.
30th. Okay, so I've got to survive another 2 weeks.
2 weeks? It's like, don't say that to me. It's like
Hang on.
6 weeks away. Jesus.
Oh, we're in September. Oh, I've got to survive another 6 weeks. Gosh.
When you said 2 weeks, I was like, oh,
No, I'm sorry. I was
started
hopeful.
hyperventilating.
I was optimistic. I was like, oh, I think I can do that. 6
can you
weeks.
get
I'm
that
not so
bottle
sure.
out of my face? It is in my face. Don't you dare spill that on my laptop.
And that is really tempting.
You will die. We will. No, I'm not. I can't even make that dark joke.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, yeah, a lot of dark jokes have become a little too dark lately, haven't they?
I don't know. Like, I think I feel a bit changed. I haven't given my good news yet.
Yeah. What's your good news?
So we went to one of my best mates' weddings yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was both photographer and guest. And I got to see my handsome man in a suit.
Oh,
He was in a
nice.
proper suit. I was
Nice.
like, damn.
Did he remember to wash the grease off his hands first? Or is that why the suit was so black? It was
Yeah,
just
no, he's
covered
just
in-
like,
Yeah.
no, he looked bloody sharp. Gentlemen, you should wear suits more often.
I tell you what, well, there is a resurgence in suits happening in the US thanks to
Yes.
Charlie Kirk right now.
Well, not just Charlie Kirk. Jordan Peterson started that.
Well, he started it, but I've realised, and I don't think I've said this on the podcast, stop me if I did. So Jordan Peterson was the grandfatherly figure that younger men especially turned to because he seems to have his head screwed on right.
I think it was father figure. He's not that old.
Well, fatherly figure, whatever.
Okay.
And they turned to him. Remember, we're talking about people, though, that are in their teens, that are 15. You're old enough to be their mum, and he's old enough to be your dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, grandfatherly figure. I'm gonna stick with that. And he was saying, get up, make your bed, become useful, slay your
Yes.
dragons, do the hard things. Like, that was his message. But it's one thing to hear that coming from someone who's a few generations removed.
Yeah.
And I think what happened with Charlie Kirk, not that this was intentional on his part, but he became the embodiment of what your life could look like if you get up, make your bed, put on a
Yes.
suit, work hard, become excellent
Yes.
at something, slay your dragons, da-da-da. He was kind of the living embodiment, the role model of what a living in the manner that Jordan Peterson advocated could actually look like.
Yeah.
Now, what's happened with his assassination is that he's now frozen in time, and he will forever be in the minds of an entire generation of young men. He will forever be the target that they're aiming at.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that is an aspirational target to aim
Yeah.
at. Here is a bloke who had tremendous influence and tremendous clout and tremendous success. Okay, that's one thing. But he was also, as best as we can tell, very happily married. He'd married the beauty pageant winner.
Yeah.
He had the markers of success. He had 2 beautiful kids. And he was this guy who said, get up, work hard, get married, have kids, go to church, be useful, and have dialogue with everybody. And he's the role model that's now frozen in time,
Yeah.
frozen in their minds as the embodiment of what Jordan Peterson said.
I don't know. I don't know who Charlie Kirk was, and I'd seen plenty of videos, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't say like I was a fan. As in,
Yeah,
I was.
He was there.
Yeah,
It
he was there.
yeah.
Not a fan, not a fan. But now I've seen his videos and stuff everywhere, which is amazing. All this did was exacerbate the influence that he would have.
Well,
it had
yeah.
the opposite impact.
Oh, absolutely.
But what I find most interesting is the reaction. I mean, we can talk about all the lefty reactions in a second, but the reaction from the right, I have seen so many videos, people going, I'm going to start going to church,
Yeah.
or I'm going to start doing things like
Yeah.
I'm going to take my life more seriously.
Yep.
And I'll play you a video that G found the other day of this man wearing a suit. I mentioned it on Monday.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that. And it's so easy to get caught up with the crazy-haired, septum-piercing people.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, not that we shouldn't talk about it, but it's expected. I expect nothing less than these people.
Yeah. Yep.
They are morally bankrupt. They are miserable, desperate, chronically online people. They're going to do exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Great. And everyone's like, have you seen the latest Abby Chatfield video? She's crashing out. I'm like, of course she is.
Yeah.
Of course she is. But what I would love to see, and look, I know we've talked about this, the good news doesn't sell, doesn't get the clicks, but I do think it's really important to celebrate some wins.
Sometimes it does. And this is one of those moments, like that video that you mentioned that we're going to watch soon.
Yeah.
My wife told me about it. She saw it before I did, and because that's gone viral. There was another video that all I did was share it online. I think we mentioned it on Monday, the bloke who was using his tap and go to pay for other people's, elderly people in particular's groceries. And people criticised him, do it without showing your face, or why make a video, blah, blah, blah. No. He went viral doing a kindness and in the process inspired others.
Yeah.
So every now and again, good news does cut through. Every now and again, we do see the good news go viral. And I think it's really important to celebrate when that happens and to try and make that happen. And most of the time it won't.
Well, it's interesting
But sometimes
because
it will.
it ties in a little bit to what I've been studying as well, like the resurgence of beauty. And I don't mean Kim Kardashian hyperconsumption beauty. I mean beauty as in the beautiful way that you decorate your house, the way you dress, the way we aspire to build buildings that are beautiful, not just contemporary, monstrosities.
But even human beauty, talking about personal beauty, is actually so much deeper than just how someone looks.
Yes.
How someone carries themselves, how someone speaks, their enunciation, their elocution, their thought processes, how they behave towards one another.
Yeah.
Someone who is visually relatively plain can be incredibly beautiful to be around.
Well, it's those unique distinguishing features that actually make someone quite alluring. You think of over time, right? You might say like an Elizabeth Taylor or a Sophia Loren or, a lot of people say Marilyn Monroe. There's been so many beauties, and same with guys as well, people who stand out for a certain reason.
Yeah.
It's usually because they had a really distinct feature. It could have been the eyes, nose, hair. Barbara Streisand, for example, she always had a big nose, but, she was beautiful for it. Whereas now what you're seeing, everyone is trying to look the same. And I don't think it's because it's the trend. I think it's because it's so much easier to blend in and look like everyone else than it is to carry those unique features anymore, because it comes with a lot of weight. And I'll say this. There's a lot of people who will dress outlandishly because they're a bit eccentric, right? And I think a lot of people also use that as a shield.
Yep.
So if you see someone that's wearing like crazy clothes and crazy hair and crazy glasses, usually that's a costume, right? Because that person, not always, I'm not talking in absolutes, but usually that is the way the person goes out wearing their armor.
Yeah.
And if you take all that from them,
it's
they're very
actually
vulnerable.
hiding an insecurity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you have people who dress very, very normally, but then have these over-the-top personalities.
Yeah.
So there's always that polarity there. But further to that, I think a lot of people now, with the way social media works, everyone's kind of on the same carousel, buying the same stuff, and it's all filtering through. There aren't moments of people reaching out and going, I'm doing this thing, which is totally different. Everyone's like, wow, that's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're doing that. I'll do it too. Oh, you bought that bag. I'll do it too.
So I had an interesting moment. I was having coffee with a friend yesterday. I allowed myself 45 minutes away from work. What a luxury. And I had a coffee with a friend, and it was great. It was a good catch up. And while we were sitting there, we were in kind of an alleyway, and one of those alleyways with shop fronts onto it and so forth. And at the end of the alleyway, out walks this guy who I can only describe as one of the most quintessential silver foxes that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Older gentleman, 50s-ish, somewhere in there. White-haired, grey white hair. It wasn't salt and pepper, it was mostly salt. Beautifully manicured, short-cropped beard and moustache. 3-piece grey suit. Now, he was tall and skinny as well, which helped to add to the kind of the effect of it. But it was this manicured, it was this George Clooney-esque level of manicuring. And, Jordan Peterson would have been proud. And what was interesting, and I noticed it at the time, but I thought of it just now as a result of this conversation, was that I found myself having to check my negative assumptions about him, which was really interesting for me, because I don't think of myself as being a tall poppy. I don't think of myself as, and this is just a guy who's just well presented. That's all. That was his only crime. I knew nothing about him. I'd never seen him before.
You called yourself out on your own observatory rhetoric.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Oh, that's what you were looking at. I saw you looking at your screen a second ago.
I was like, say it right. A win.
There are words I want to use that aren't the word of the day.
Observatory rhetoric. Did you like that?
Well done. Well played. Yes. I have to give that to you. That is, you beat me today.
Yeah. I had to get it out of the way first.
I will see you again next week.
Okay.
So
you saw yourself criticizing, like that was your first thought.
Well,
Like,
what was really interesting, and the reason why I remembered it in the context of this conversation is because my assumption was that he was hiding insecurities. My assumption was that he was either an asshole or he was socially awkward, or like I made just internally, knowing nothing about this guy, I made this string of. And I'm chatting with my friend. I'm like, I'm supposed to be engaged in this conversation. And just like for reference, this guy turned heads, blokes and ladies alike.
Yeah, okay.
Like he's just walking down and people are just like you notice him.
Yeah.
Not because he's loud and out there, but because he was just immaculately dressed in that 1930s three-piece grey suit kind of way.
Yeah.
And I had to correct my own, and I did in that moment. I'm like, yeah, stop being an idiot, right?
Yeah.
And I then also, I had this fleeting moment of, as I start to dress nicer, I realized I have this little insecurity about dressing nicely, that it's going to send the message to people that I have some kind of an insecurity.
Yeah, or that
Which is itself an insecurity.
Yes.
So I'm sitting, I have got this thought process going on while I'm trying to talk to my friend. I sat there and went, wow, okay, there's actually a lot more there. I wouldn't have thought that I had such strong opinions.
When you really start to unpack this stuff yourself, what you realize is that there's like, I don't know whether it's a preconditioning or it's a wound that we carry through from our adolescence where, as a teenager, you're constantly insecure and you're also trying to judge other people around you to figure out where you fit in like the social hierarchy. But when it comes to adult life, there is this perception that if someone dresses well or is well presented, they must be up themselves.
Yeah.
Or they think too much of themselves.
And is that an Australian thing? Is that tied to our tall poppy syndrome?
I do think there's an element of that because I remember like when I got my very first job in the city in Melbourne, I didn't know what I was expecting. So I was overdressed and I wore a suit, trousers, the whole thing, right? Yeah. And my boss was like, oh, you don't have to wear that. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then I looked around and everyone else was in, slacks and a top or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, no worries. But she did say to me, she's like, I do appreciate that you overdressed. Yeah. And I think that's a great sentiment. And then now moving forward, like 2025, most people walk around in tracksuit pants, leggings. It's become
super casual.
Yeah. And dressed up to a lot of people is jeans and a top.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not trying to say that we should all be like wearing suits and hats and stuff again, but have a look at how much dignity was associated with people dressing well. So on Sundays, you wore your Sunday best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women might have worn gloves and a hat. Men would always wear a hat and a three-piece and you'd shiny shoes. Yep. Like, do people shine their shoes these days? Is that a thing?
And you only have to go back about 4 generations in Australia to get to the point where people would have one bath a week. Yeah. Right? We forget, we've talked about this before, we forget how quickly we've become wealthy. Yeah. And they would have that bath on a Saturday night so that they'd be clean for their Sunday best on the Sunday. Yeah. And so, being presentable in that most public, because that was the most public thing, and it was also about honouring God and you're sort of giving that event its pride of place in their week. They put a lot of effort in. And we've stopped doing that. And we've talked before about how this is a pendulum. And a part of the appeal of Jordan Peterson was that he was giving young men who were looking around going, okay, all the gangster stuff, the jeans and the belt hanging halfway down your butt and all of that stuff. That's not me. I don't want that. I don't like where that leads. But what else is there? And someone like a Jordan Peterson sort of modeled that. And the suit was a part of that. But I would love, reflecting on it now, I would love to live in a culture where people, men and women, just routinely walked around dressed like that bloke I saw yesterday, and to not be making those assumptions about them.
I've really been making a move towards that myself. So I've been self-employed for almost my entire adult life. Sure. And, I had a good stint in the corporate world for about 6-7 years, and then I had my own company. And my own company was activewear. So I was in gym wear for a good decade. And then we had COVID, and now on the other side of it, if I'm not at a studio, I'm at home. Yeah. So there's no incentive to dress up. And then I realized that, I just feel sloppy. Yeah. So I've now tried to get this habit where I'm like, all right, get up, make the bed, put a little, like not a full face of makeup on. It sets the tone. Yep. Put a bit of makeup on, put a bit of perfume on, and then at least wear jeans around the house. Yep. And then it's funny. All of a sudden I feel like I stand an inch taller. Yeah. Right? I'm not slopping around in my tracky pants and stuff like that. There's definitely days where I do that. But it also helps me distinguish that this is work time, this is relaxed time. And that sort of discipline has been difficult to find the balance of because you work from home. And like, you know, at the moment, the house is chaos because we're packing. And I walk past, I'm like, I might do the dishes quickly. I'm like, no, you're on work time.
Yeah.
Do work.
Yeah.
You know? But I also think like when it comes to Gen Z, they put a lot of pressure on how they wear their outfits, right?
Yeah.
They try and be curated. And I'd say that's also the opposite side of things because it's like you're putting these outfits together because you are so fearful that you will not be blending in or seen a certain way.
Yeah.
So what I actually mourn is the dress code.
Yeah, okay.
The dress code is dead. So if someone says to you, smart casual, what do you think it is?
Well, smart casual for me is going to be a good pair of jeans or slacks, brown or black leather shoes, and you could wear a T-shirt with a jacket over the top. But
So smart
ideally a
casual
button
is no
front.
denim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casual is denim.
Okay.
By traditional standards.
yeah,
People are going to argue with me in the comments, but by traditional standards, casual is denim, smart casual is slacks and a sweater or a blazer with a T-shirt. For women, it could be slacks, it could be just a day dress or something like that.
Yeah.
Then you have cocktail, and now black tie. What does black tie mean to you?
Well, whenever someone says black tie, I go the full 3-piece turkey suit with a bow tie.
That's what black tie is. Yeah.
And then white tie is actually my favourite.
When you get to wear tails.
Well, that's the next step above.
Yeah, and a top hat.
I've been to one white tie event in my life where people actually went for it, and it was great.
I was gonna say, I don't even think we do that in Australia. People wouldn't even know what a white tie is.
Everyone had to go and buy stuff for it.
Yeah,
but
or
did,
hire an
and,
actual costume.
And
yeah.
everyone got into the spirit of it, and it was great.
So black tie for a woman means floor length gown.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to see your ankles
Yeah.
down to the ground.
Yeah.
But yet when you go to a black tie function, most women will be in cocktail outfits.
So is that what's going on? Iran's just in a continuous black tie event. I mean, you can't see their ankles, you can't see their wrists,
eyes.
you can't see their eyes.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because I sound like an old fashioned person. I never grew up in that time either.
Sure.
I'm a millennial man. Like I started my
You're a
life.
millennial man.
No, I'm
Bombshell, everybody.
I can be whatever I want, damn it. I was of the generation where baggy jeans were cool.
Yeah.
And now they're coming back again, and I sort of go,
What's interesting though, and this was not in the show notes at all, but hey, we're here. What's interesting is that
when is what we talk about
Well,
ever in the notes?
Hang on. Tangent time, tangent time, tangent time, tangent time.
Is it just 4? I thought it was 6.
No,
And then we go up, down.
I've done like 3. I'm playing around with it, man.
Okay.
Like don't box me in.
Oh, I will not. Okay.
You made the comment before about how much effort people are
I'm
still
gonna need
putting
some
into their
water.
outfits.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good point because we see people dressed like a slob and we say, oh, well, you haven't put any effort in.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not necessarily true. Some of these people are putting an enormous amount of effort into the look where they look like they just rolled out of bed.
Yeah. They've had to roll around in bed for 10 hours.
Well, I know blokes that'll get up and they'll shower and they'll put on the torn clothes and the whatever, and then they'll spend ages getting their hair just right so that it looks just tousled in exactly the way that they want. I'm like, dude, like you anyway.
I just think I don't know. I maybe it's my I'm maturing. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I do believe there's a time and a place. Even on the podcast, right? Like I look at some of the episodes where I've just worn a hoodie,
Right.
And I own about 50 hoodies. I love hoodies.
Yeah.
And again, activewear company for 10 years. Like that was my dress code. And I sort of go, oh, Carly, the podcast is growing. And I've said the same thing to you, and I've said the same thing to myself.
Yeah.
The podcast is growing. We're getting more eyes on us. I do believe there's a level of expectation where we should be a bit more presentable.
Sure.
And it's difficult because it started out with just you and I and like one person watching this podcast.
That's the price of success. 2 people, G and my mum.
Yeah. See?
No,
Your wife doesn't even watch this podcast.
No. As if listen, I literally churning
She sees
out.
it off of you.
I churn out hours of content a day. There is no way she's going to sit down and watch any of it. But no, so it is interesting though because rewind to my late teenage and into my early 20s, I was typically wearing slacks, button front shirt, and either a sports coat or a suit jacket, and leather shoes. That was what I wore, and that was my normal for a very long time. And then eventually I kind of succumbed to the cultural zeitgeist and it became runners and jeans and T-shirts. Mm-hmm. But I never wore a hoodie until after I got married.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, no, but hoodies look great. I love hoodies. I'm like, okay, fine. And so then I started to roll out my own merch, and we're like, well, we need to have hoodies.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I need to wear my own stuff. So
Yeah.
I started wearing hoodies. Now I'm almost always in hoodies. And if I go to sit down at the table and I've got a cup of tea or coffee, or it's dinner or anything like that, I instinctively stop the ties from the hood.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
if they're not there, I'll be wearing a t-shirt. There's nothing there. And instinctively, I'll put my hand here to stop, because as I'm leaning down, because I don't want it to go in the food or the drink. So I've become fully, what do you call it, institutionalized into hoodie wearing now. And I'm actually really looking forward to getting rid of them. I never liked them to start with.
Yeah.
And out of my wardrobe is what I mean. Getting rid of them out of my wardrobe. And going back to button front shirts and jackets and stuff.
Well, again, I think it's a time and a place. Like, I'm even like that with my shoes. And I love fashion too. I'm a fashion girly. I've just never had the budget for the fashion that I love.
Yeah.
But what I have been really, really excited by, even though we're in a cost of living crisis, there seems to be a lot of entrepreneurs trying to do something.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm also in my shedding of the labels era.
Okay.
So, as you do when you're young, you feel like you need to buy the labeled stuff because it, says something about
I
you.
have a lot to say on that, but please continue. We'll get to that.
No, I was 100% that. So my era of growing up was the Roxy, the Rip Curl.
Yep.
And if you didn't have Roxy or Billabong written over your bum, you weren't cool.
Or
If you didn't-
Juicy. My wife still has a
Yeah.
Juicy tracksuit.
Von Dutch, those brands said something about you. It said, I belong to this subculture. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And that, as a teenager, that was so important. I think I've told you the story about the Oakley sunglasses.
Yes.
Right? Like, I had...
That's going to be on the drinking game soon.
Yeah.
If you tell that story one more time, it's going to get added to the drinking
But
game.
it's one of those things. It's like, if you didn't have them,
Yeah.
it said something, right? And I remember there was another brand, is it Arnett? And so you were one or the other. And it was like being a Collingwood or an Essendon supporter. It was like it put you in a category.
So this whole brands thing is genuinely something that I've never actually understood.
Yeah, okay.
It genuinely has never made sense to me. And my wife's a little bit that way. She appreciates nice things and she doesn't mind, having a bit of a brand. I used to tease her because I would refer to Bulgari as Vulgari.
Yeah.
And my view is they don't pay me to wear their brand and advertise their stuff.
You're
Like,
wise beyond your years.
I'm paying them. How dare they use me as a billboard? Like that's my approach. But of course, other people see it the other way around. They're borrowing the brand values.
Yes.
And saying, well, I like what this says about me.
Well, it was a status thing. So the greatest marketing genius of all these luxury houses is convincing poor people to buy their stuff.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, about 20, 30 years ago, all the fakes started popping up in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Everyone used to be made in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Now everything's made in China or Vietnam or Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fakes out there. So people will go to, Bali, Hong Kong, buy their fakes and that, they want to have the Louis Vuitton bag or the Gucci belt because it says, hey, I had money to buy this, even
you
though
mean
they're
that
wearing
$30
fake.
Rolex I got in Ubud
Rolex?
isn't real? Rolex isn't real?
No, sadly.
Oh,
but it's interesting, right? Because I definitely did that when I was younger.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I was 20, I went via Bangkok to Cairo. And in Bangkok, there was heaps of fakes. And I was like, wow, I can buy all this fake shit. So I did. And it was rubbish. It fell apart. It was terrible.
I've done that once in my life. It was a Breitling branded watch.
Oh, yeah.
And I really, it was just a beautiful design. I really liked it. I bought it. The plating on the back came off, and whatever metal it was actually made out of would burn my skin. I had red burn in the shape of the back plate of that watch whenever I wore the watch.
Bookmark burn, because I have a story to tell you, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
But yeah, so people do a lot of fakes and people still do that now. And it's interesting, right? Because when you go and look at the fakes now, they're really good. You kind of can't tell.
Yeah.
And people argue they come out of the same factories. Well, that's, I don't know.
In some cases might be true. In many cases definitely isn't true. Yeah.
Yes and no. But for example, an Hermes Birkin, right? When I was in Vietnam with Emily a couple of years ago, we went to the Bentang market, which is where all the fakes are.
Yeah.
And they had so many Birkin bags, right? Now, that whole thing, and I don't aspire to ever own a Birkin, but you have to firstly shop at Hermes a lot, and then you get, bumped up, and then eventually they'll offer you a bag, and it won't be one that you want. It'll be like, you can have this one because we feel like you're worthy of it.
And if you say no, we will never offer you the next step where you will eventually
and
get
if
to
you
the one
sell
you
it
want.
and we know that you sell it, you'll never get another bag,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So there's this whole pretentiousness with
Yeah.
it. And so now, I see people who are dressed very, in Zara or Shein or whatever, but they're carrying around a Birkin. And I'm like, it's funny, right? I'm not criticizing people. I understand people want to be a part of it, but at the same time, like, do you realize what message this is sending? You'd rather look rich than actually be rich.
But also, look at the actual super rich. All
They
the
do not
brands
wear that
disappear.
shit.
They are nobody's billboard,
Yes.
right? And
And they're actually understated. I
Correct.
think billionaires, one of them like is decision fatigue. So if you look at Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, a lot of them say this. They make enough decisions in their day.
Yeah.
They don't want to get up and go, what do I wear today?
Yeah.
And it's a uniform.
And that was, Steve Jobs was a significant influence in my switch to jeans and runners and shirts. And initially, I actually was long sleeve shirts. I was a little bit of a copy boy, even though I'm not an Apple boy. I was a bit of a copycat on that. And I still quite like the long sleeve t-shirts, by the way. I'm a bit of a sucker for that. But that was a part of it. It's a case of everything that I have in my wardrobe goes with everything else because it's all identical.
Yeah.
I have one type of shirt.
That's
one
called
type
a
of
capsule
pants.
wardrobe,
Well,
yeah.
but this is like extreme capsule. This is
Okay.
like monotone,
nothing.
purely like singular. People would have thought I was just wearing the same thing day after day
Yeah.
for a while there.
You've never showered.
Yeah, but there's other reasons why they think that. But it just made the morning routine so effortless.
Yeah.
There was no friction at all between getting out of bed and getting out of the door.
Yeah.
I eat the same thing for breakfast every day. In fact, I'm not even eating it for breakfast. I eat it for lunch now because I don't have time for breakfast. So I eat 2 meals, lunch and dinner. But it's the same thing
Yeah.
every single day.
I do
because I
that
don't want to have
too.
to make a decision.
I feel like that. And do you know what decision just puts a stake in my heart every bloody day? This question. And I did not know that adult life would be trying to answer this question every single day for the rest of your life.
First world problem incoming.
What do you want for dinner? Now, as a single person, you have what we call girl dinner, which is you wait until you're that hungry, then you go raid the fridge and just put whatever it is and it's shit on a plate.
Yeah.
But when you're in a relationship, it is somewhat frowned upon to
Mm.
do such things. And so I thought the benefit of a partnership is that you could actually delegate that question occasionally. And it turns out, that we just volley that question back and forth like a tennis game.
Yeah. No one wants to make a decision.
It's the worst decision.
Okay. So can I suggest that you take a leaf out of your own book of wisdom? You've talked about the fact that in your opinion, tarot cards are about how you respond to the card, right? So instead of saying, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? Actually just say, what if we had this? And it actually doesn't matter what that is. The fact that there's a definite thing for you to have a reaction to will then actually cause you to much more quickly
Actually, no, I want
find
a chicken.
a concrete thing. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's what we do now. So we go to the supermarket and buy all the protein and whatever, and then I'll be like, open up the freezer and go, all right, we've got steak or chicken.
Yeah.
And we'll go, steak.
Yeah.
All right, done.
Yeah.
But if you guys feel that, there's a celebrity chef, or she's like a social media chef, Nagy, can't say her surname, Recipe Tin Eats. And
She's amazing.
yeah, and she was
Love
she
her.
was the one that did the recipe for the mushroom
I
thing.
know for the
thing?
yes.
But her 2 books are fabulous.
When we make pancakes, we just go straight to the Recipe Tin Eats website.
Yeah.
My son mixes the batter, so
Yeah.
he needs the
it needs the thing.
the recipe every time. We go straight there. We've done a bunch of her stuff. She's
It's
fabulous.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's like quite simple cooking, and you most likely have the majority of the ingredients.
Can I just say though, so we watch her videos as well, and on her website, each of the recipes that has the video, she has the hands of a 3-year-old.
Oh, has she got little
Her
hands?
hands are the tiniest.
I've never watched her, I don't think.
It's so funny. I mean, she's not a large
She's
person
little,
to begin with. She's
yeah.
a little person, to begin with. But her hands are just tiny.
Oh, I've never-
And of course, it's a cooking show, so there's all these close-up shots.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing. It's like out of Jackass when they had their I'm just sitting there going, wow. I mean, but cannot argue with the recipes.
Yeah, no, they're great. So now but that decision fatigue, it just plagues your life. What
Yeah.
do you wear? What to eat? Where to go? So I do the same thing as you. Like I have literally the exact same thing for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day I'll wake up and go, I never want to eat that again. And then I switch to the next thing. And then
Yeah.
I just eat that every day for a year.
So I ate Wheat Bix all my life until I
Good old Weet
switched
Bix.
to eggs.
Yeah.
An occasional porridge on a cold day, but very rarely. Then I switched to eggs, and they were soft-boiled eggs to start with. And then I got sick of peeling eggs, and that was a couple of years of soft-boiled eggs. And then I got sick of peeling the eggs, and I taught myself how to poach eggs recently.
Yeah.
And now, can I tell you what I have for breakfast?
Yeah, poached eggs.
I have 4 poached eggs on a toasted everything bagel with salmon, hollandaise sauce, and a salt and pepper that's got like dried herb style salt bush and pepper bush leaves all crushed up in it.
Guys, you're paying him too much money.
I am.
La-di-da.
Well, I know. And I'm sitting there going, this is a $30 breakfast, but because I'm cooking it myself, it's obviously not.
Well, we do that now. So breakfast used to be my favorite meal to go out for. I'm a breakfast person.
Yeah.
I don't really like being anywhere after 7 p.m.
Yeah.
I will, but I'm much more
Because you are like 40 going on 80, yeah.
No, I've just always been a morning person. Like I'll get up, go to the gym and whatever in the morning, and then by nighttime I'm like, I'm not a clubber and all that. Anyway, old soul. But I can't go out for breakfast anymore. It's just too expensive.
It's too expensive.
It's
It's
crazy.
insane. Even buying coffee. So I started making my own
Coffee's
coffees.
$7 now.
It's nuts, and even you feel good if you get one for $5. Add that up over a year.
Yeah,
I used to drink two coffees a day. Now I will buy maybe 2 or 3 coffees in a week, and then on the other days I'll just have something that I've made at home.
A coffee for us is a treat, not because we're tight asses, but just more so like it's not worth $7. So we've got the Nespresso machine.
Yep.
So if we want a latte or a cappuccino, we could just do that. And look, Nespresso is bloody good. We've got
George Clooney can't be wrong.
We've got the bigger capsules. They're better than the smaller ones, I think, because you get a bit more and you get like a full 40 ml shot, and all the different flavors, whatever. But that's how I taught myself to drink. Instant coffee. I never used to. So,
you say that like it's an achievement.
No. Because people wonder, have you seen my pantry and all the Makona jars? Right. So people wonder how I got to this point. So I used to work in the city next to St. Ali, which was one of the OG coffee shops. Right?
Great coffee. Yeah.
Now try walking past St. Ali and saying no to a coffee.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Right. And this is like 2000.
And it's typically packed and you have to wait quite a while, but it is good coffee.
Yeah. 2005, I think I started that job, somewhere there. So like
St. Ali was the one in South Melbourne?
Yes.
Yeah, on
just
sort of
off
that
Clarence
little
Street.
laneway. Yeah.
So, and then my work was literally around the corner from it.
Goodness,
So I get off the tram and then I get my coffee there.
That I would be doing 3 coffees a day.
I was.
if I lived that close to St.
That's
Ali.
what was happening.
Yeah.
I was doing 10 and like, oh, do you want a coffee? Yeah, I'll go get it. And then you do rounds.
Oh, yeah.
So you go get the round and the next person get the round.
Yeah.
And before you knew it, we were drinking 3 to 4 coffees a day.
Yeah.
And
It was $20.
yeah, it was. And then, I was younger then and I was like, well, where's all my money going? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I realized, pardon me, I was spending close to $50, $60 a week just on coffee.
Yeah.
And I went, that's crazy. Like, I should be saving that money. So then I bought a thing of Makona, the gold one. And I was like, it's not St. Ali coffee, but I just taught myself to like it. And I started saving all the money. And then,
every now and again, you say things that just make me wonder why we are friends. I can overlook the Mac using. I found peace with that.
Yeah.
I found peace with that because my wife is also a Mac user and she's not a completely evil person. So I've had to work through a lot of my prejudices regarding Apple Mac users. But Makona, sorry.
Your objurgatory tone is quite offensive.
You don't get bonus points.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
just intellectually flexing now.
No.
My scholarly academic.
Sorry. That was. I thought that wasn't a joke. Oh, sorry. I misunderstood.
I can't wait till I have a PhD and I'll be like, excuse me, it's doctor.
Are you going to become even more obnoxious?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's doctor. It starts with a D. D-R. It's doc. Yeah, no, absolutely. Why else would you do it?
Dr. Soderstrom. You sound like Kevorkian.
My favorite thing is when I put the umlauts on the O and no one can pronounce it.
Yeah.
But speaking of stories, and then we'll get to some news. We're trying to keep it lighthearted because I'm a bit sick of talking about murder.
Yeah.
So my faithful old iPhone here. Now I don't know if I should be admitting this on air, but here I am. I do have my phone in the shower because I'm usually watching YouTube in the shower. Weird, I know.
Sure, YouTube.
You porn. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, and it's one of those things. It's okay. First world problems, but when I'm washing my hair, it's such pain. My hair's so long; it takes so long. So I'm in the shower for like 20 minutes. Anyway,
You-
this
you-
is too much information
you
about
have
me.
such a busy life that you have to redeem the time while you're washing your hair. It's like, I'm doing research.
Well, yeah, because I like to listen to YouTube. Anyway, so I'll just have it there. And so it's not under the water, but it's in there.
If you're listening to the Oddcast in the shower right now, could you just leave us a comment? Let us know that Carly's not the only complete weirdo
I know I'm not
here.
alone because apparently this is a common problem. Anyway, they're meant to be waterproof, but I broke the back off my iPhone. I dropped it and it smashed. And then I
Yeah.
took it to one of those
That's not going to be waterproof anymore.
no, and I didn't even think about it, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, and then, it's getting water and whatever on it. And then I thought the back of it was just coming off, like, because they put a new back on it and obviously glued it back on. And just one of those, phone fixing places, because I'm just refusing to buy a new phone. Anyway, G and I would like be in bed and we could smell, like, it smelled like glue. And I was like, my phone smells. And I'm like, oh, it's like, I could feel that the back was sort of like bubbly a little bit. And I was like, oh, the back's coming off.
Is that the battery going?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
funny you
Yeah.
said that, because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's just the back coming off.
No,
And then,
I've had that happen with an iPhone. My first iPhone, that's how it died.
yeah, wow. So I didn't know what was going on. So I dug out the old receipt and I was like, oh, surely there's a warranty. 90 days, not long enough. But anyway, I was like, oh, bugger. So I go to Southland and I drop the phone off. I'm like, oh, it's not working really well and it's not charging properly. And he grabs it and he smells it. He's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he like fully panicked. He's like,
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah,
And
because it's toxic. The
he's
gas
like,
is coming off of
this
that.
is
It's
about to
toxic.
blow up.
Yes.
This is lithium.
Yes.
And meanwhile, I've been putting up with that for about 3 months.
Yeah.
Until it got to the point where it wasn't charging properly. Anyway, and he's like, this could blow up at any moment. This is so dangerous. This could absolutely explode. Anyway, he starts pulling it apart and doing all the things. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize this was such a big deal. And he pulls it out and he's like horrified. His face
Yeah.
was like, the battery had swollen up and there's like lithium leaking out everywhere. He's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So my first iPhone, the very, very early one, if you can cast your mind back that
Yeah,
far,
I
had
had
the
it.
rounded corners
Yep.
and kind of the rounded back.
iPhone 3.
And
3G it was called.
it was an amazing device at the time, but of course these things die. And my one died by forming a bump in part of the back of it. And it was enough of a bump and with enough pressure behind it, it was causing hairline fractures in the plastic. Now, of course, these were never considered to be waterproof, so I kept away from water, all that stuff. But I was like, oh, that's a bit of an odd thing. I didn't actually think about it because
Yeah.
iPhones were new. We didn't have
Yeah.
these problems. All the previous electronic devices had run off AA batteries. These pouch batteries
Yeah.
that do that when they fail, that was a new kind of thing. I hadn't used them before.
Yeah.
So, yes, and then one day I was typing away. I was actually working for a friend's video production company at the time, and I had the phone on the desk next to me, and it all of a sudden made like a sound, and the back had popped off the front. Now, this is one of the ones where the back actually was removable. These are the early ones where the battery was actually, I could have just stopped and looked at it at any point in time. Anyway, so now I pick it up and I look at it, and yeah, the pouch was doing these ones, and it had the white stuff coming out the top. and
Yeah.
all of that.
I've seen like e-scooter batteries blow up and things like that. I hadn't even thought that could happen with your phone. Isn't that bad?
Don't you remember that they made the jihad version of the Galaxy?
Yes.
That would just spontaneously
Yes.
take out airplanes.
Yes.
And
that was a couple of years ago?
That was a couple of years ago.
They were catching fire
and
or
they
something?
wouldn't even let you take them on a plane. And for a while there was like all
Yeah.
these precautions and rules around them.
Yeah.
Like these are serious little things.
I didn't even think about it. Like you're so accustomed to carrying it around and not being really nonchalant with it. But you'll appreciate this.
Right.
So
Is this the burn thing that you asked me to
well, I
remind
was
you
going
of?
to say, I almost got burnt by
Yeah,
my
okay,
iPhone.
yeah.
That was the story. But there has been a real shift away from Apple, and you'll be impressed by this.
Ooh, why was this not your good news story, Carly?
Well, look, I like Apple's OS system.
Mm.
I wish Windows was as user-friendly. It's not. Windows is so clunky, and I still have no idea why it's the way it is. Anyway, once you're in an ecosystem, it's really hard to be across both, right?
Yeah.
So I've been on this system for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
To move back to Windows will just like make me spontaneously combust. Anyway, boring story.
Talking about burn.
We talk about this story every podcast,
Yeah,
but I'm
it's
trying
great.
to rush through it. Anyway, Gen Z are like looking at, because of TikTok, you see a lot of Chinese stuff and whatnot. So they're like Huawei. Is it Hawaii?
Huawei, yeah.
Huawei?
Huawei, I'm not sure.
G said that was the best phone he's ever had. They're banned in Australia
Yeah, right.
because it has
Yeah, 'cause
Chinese
they had
spyware or whatever.
yeah.
And then there's Oppo and a whole host of others. And I didn't know this, but Oppo phones had or have Hasselblad cameras in them.
I had an Oppo, worst phone I've owned. I went back to Samsung
Did you?
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all these different phones, and then there's a new brand. I think it's called. I want to say Naked. I don't think that's right, but it's like bare bones phone, but still super capable.
Yeah.
And they're doing a real push, and they've got headphones. I've probably got the name wrong. Anyway. And so what Gen Z is looking at is all these crazy cool features that Chinese phones have that our Western world phones don't have.
Yeah.
So there's this shift away from Apple. And I was like, it's the best thing because Tim Cook only cares about money.
Right.
Tim Cook doesn't care about innovation. Ever since Steve Jobs died, Apple's innovation has tanked.
Why do you call him Jobs? I've never heard anyone else refer to him as Steve Jobs.
It is Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. I've always heard.
No, it's Jobs.
Help us out here, guys.
It's Steve Jobs, not Jobs.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to sit here knowing that you're wrong.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry. Tim Cook only cares about money. I believe that's where you were.
Yeah. And look, I don't know Samsung because I don't follow Samsung, but the innovation has been beyond lackluster. Like it's just.
Yeah. It's iteration, not innovation.
Here's an extra megapixel for your camera.
Yeah.
It does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And the only reason most people upgrade is because they've either smashed their phone or the battery is not charging the way it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I took it and got the battery repaired, I was like, oh, how long will that battery last? He's like, you'll have this phone until you break it next time. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck you, Apple. I'm so sick of paying. Like, if I replace that with the new one, that'll be, what, $2,500 because it's the...
Some insane amount of money, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is so stupid. That's like halfway, or it's almost a laptop.
So I remember when you would get a mobile phone on a plan, bundled in with your plan.
Yeah.
And the plans could be $30-$40 a month, which was more money back then than it is now, granted. Okay, I'm talking when I was 18. This is 200 years ago.
The old Nokias, eh?
Yeah, the old Nokias, that sort of thing. Now, speaking of waterproof, okay, I had a Nokia, one of them, the 5110 or something like that. I think it was one of the ones after that. And I fell into a friend's pool. I was chasing a basketball, tried to reach in, overbalanced. In I go with the phone in my pocket. So I jump out of the pool. I'm like, okay, wallet and all the rest of it, not much I can do there. I grab the phone. I pull it to pieces because it's obviously a battery out, back off, all that. And I rinsed it under tap water to get the salt, the chlorine out because it was a chlorinated pool. And I'm like, okay, this may or may not be dead. I don't know. And I put it into an oven at a low temperature just to evaporate, just to try and get some heat through and get the water to evaporate out. A couple of hours later, I put the battery back into it, turned it on. Everything worked. I could make and receive calls. The only thing was a bit of water had got into the LCD screen itself. And so I couldn't really see what I was doing on the screen, and therefore the phone was dead.
Yeah.
But actually, it still functioned as a phone. I could make calls. I could receive calls. All the buttons worked. Everything still worked. And for me, I'm like, if I could just get back to a phone that does phone calls, text.
They call them dumb phones. They make them now.
And navigation.
Yeah. Do you know, my very first phone was a Nokia. No, it was an Ericsson. It was a Sony Ericsson. It was the one where you could change the color on the front. But then I got my mum's 30.
It's so hot right now.
Right. And you know the little aerial.
Yeah.
And then I got the 3210. And I think I got that when I was 16. And around that era when I got that phone, color screens were just coming out, brand new. And then the very first camera phone with a VGA camera came out. And I was desperate for a new phone, desperate. And my parents were like, until that thing breaks, you don't get another one. And then, of course, you know how it is at school. Everyone starts getting the cool phones and you're right and cool and whatever. And like the 3210 had Snake on it. That was it. And you used to have to delete text messages because you couldn't hold more than 10 at a time or something. If any Gen Z is watching this, they're like, what? This is like Stone Age.
Can you believe we used to have to pay per text?
Right.
For each text message you sent, you paid 50 cents or 20
You'd
cents,
have to
whatever
go
it
and
was on your plan.
beg your mum to buy you some more credit.
Some more credit,
I got $30 credit a month. And then after 9 o'clock, it was free to call people or free to text. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that 3210 was so indestructible. And my parents like, it's not broken yet. We're not getting you a new one. And I was like, I'm going to try and break this.
Challenge accepted.
So I went and put it behind the wheel of my dad's car. Oh, whoops, it fell out.
Oh, no.
He rolls over it and obviously feels something. And he's like, what was that? Gets out of the car, picks it up. It was fine. And he's like, nice try.
That is the meme. That is the meme right there. I only had 2 occasions where I had that FOMO thing of, I need a new phone. The first was when polyphonic ringtones came out.
Oh, yeah.
So I had the phone that was just like, dee, 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 dee. It had that, just
Yeah.
that, and then suddenly there were phones that could play multiple notes at once. And you were like, whoa.
Yes. And you
Sounded
remember you used to have to
amazing.
type the numbers in to get the ringtone to play?
Well, I loved the touch
We are
buttons.
ancient.
Yeah, I know. I loved the touch buttons though because I could text without looking because I knew where all
Yeah,
the
tactile.
tap 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 tap.
Yeah.
tap. But the other time I had absolute like, I've been left behind. I need a new phone. Was when I was in the Army Reserve. We were on an exercise. It was not a tactical exercise. We didn't have to be quiet or whatever. And during the night, or once darkness fell, there were people using their phone screens as a torch.
Ah.
And of course, you go back to those early Nokias, and they needed sunlight going into them for you to see which was blacked out and which was not. There were these monochrome screens. They didn't emit any light. And I'm watching these people with the new phones walking around. You're just using it the way that we use all our torches now. And that is the strongest I have ever felt the need to upgrade anything technology related. I was like, I need a new phone right now.
No, mine, the reason I was so excited for the iPhone before it came to Australia, Shazam. They had started
Right,
marketing Shazam,
right.
and I was like, still to this day, I don't understand how Shazam works. It's wizardry. But I was like, wait, because remember you would hear a song on the radio and you had to wait for the DJ to say the song.
Yeah.
And if they didn't say the song, you'd be like, how do I ever find that song again?
Yeah, if they didn't back announce it.
Yeah. And so, and then you'd tape it, and then you'd go into the CD shop, and it goes like, blah, da, 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 and they're like, oh, is
That
it?
was a ritual at Sanity. There'd always be
Right.
someone up the front counter
they
of
always
Sanity
knew.
trying to sing a song to the person
Yeah.
behind the counter.
It goes,
yeah.
da, 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 da. They're like, oh, yeah, hang on, it's this. I still, amazing, right? Amazing how we survived. But then when Shazam got marketed, it was on the TV, and it's like, just hold your phone up to the speaker.
Yeah.
And it's going to tell you, I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's impossible.
And
It's
then
impossible.
I think Shazam came out first, but then a couple of years later, Spotify came out.
Yeah.
And I still remember this. It was 2011, I think, or 2012. And my housemate, because I was a big iTunes user, I used to spend a lot of money on iTunes, and then I'd try and burn CDs. Anyway, whatever. My housemate's like, no, you can just stream it. I was like, I don't understand. He's like, any song in the world, it's just there on your phone. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
And he showed me Spotify, and believe it or not, it was like $6 to sign up to.
Yep.
And I signed up to it, and it was like,
Yeah. But that was also the beginning of You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy.
yeah.
Life
Well,
as a
now I
subscription.
know that. I
Yeah.
didn't realize at the time.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny? Like, I was saying this to a person at the wedding yesterday. You think about as a millennial, and I know it's the same for Gen X, but you got to remember, like, we were kids when this all happened.
Yeah.
What a millennial has lived through. Obviously, like world events, September 11, Osama bin Laden, all that sort of stuff. But the invention of the internet, the invention of social media, the invention of smartphones, like now AI, that has been our entire life has been trying to like learn this thing and be at the front of it. Whereas Gen Z, they've come in, it's already there. There's already
it's
an
already there.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Gen X are like, oh, I don't need it. I'm not going to do it. Not all. I'm talking absolutes. But so millennials are like constantly having the ice move from under them. This is the new thing. Be on top of it.
Can I make an observation though? Because in other areas, innovation really has stopped. Go back to our parents' generation. They lived through the Cold War. That was the end of the Cold War. The fall of the Berlin Wall was one of the defining moments for them. But before that, the moon landing, breaking the sound barrier, the atomic bomb, high speed trains, plastic, microwaves, washing machines. So many different vacuum cleaners. Like this stuff got invented within my grandparents' lifetimes.
Yeah.
And some of it within my parents' lifetimes. And they've lived through a tremendous amount of change. But what happened to supersonic commercial aircraft? What happened to so many of the technologies that were developing so rapidly? They got to a certain point, and then all of a sudden we pulled back from that.
Do you want to get conspiratorial?
Oh, sure, if you'd like to.
I think the democratization of things like air travel and technology made us more powerful, and that is threatening the ecosystem of the elite. Think about it. Riddle me this. How are we so intolerant, so ignorant, so naive, so lazy when we literally have the entire world's knowledge in the palm of our hand? We have everything right here.
Well, some would say that that's actually the reason. We no longer have to think. We no longer have to remember. We no longer have to use logic and come to conclusions. We can ask technology to do that for us. I wouldn't necessarily go down the conspiratorial route. I think what happened was people decided that safety was more important than progress.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can you imagine a technology that kills as many people as the attempt to break the sound barrier did, and for that to be allowed to be continued?
No,
for
you
anyone to be-
need like gargantuan amounts of money
Yeah.
to have a team of people just to operate the OH&S side of it.
Yeah. So now, in order to be at the cutting edge, you have to have enough money to be at the bleeding edge safely.
Yeah.
And
Well, isn't it interesting? Because we watch a lot of the SpaceX rocket launches and
Yeah.
things like that, and she's really into it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so funny because Elon Musk's whole thing is just, let's see how far we can push it till it breaks.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is like break things
Yeah.
and keep
and
fail forward.
it's a success if it fails later in the launch sequence than it failed last
Yes.
time. Yeah.
And so you often see things blowing up and whatever, and I still can't believe we saw the catch and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but then the news and then the people who hate Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That's certainly chilled
he's
down a lot,
failed
hasn't
again,
it?
blah, blah, blah.
It's broken. Like, this is so dangerous. There's things
Yeah.
in the air flying. And I'm like, he's literally trying to get us to Mars.
Yeah.
You don't think there's going to be some rockets
Yeah.
blowing up along the way?
And by the way, his company has launched more satellites. I believe this is correct. Fact check me. I believe it's correct to say that his company has launched more satellites than every other company and government combined.
Yeah.
Like he's not a failure.
Isn't it interesting how the hysteria around Elon Musk has just evaporated? Like no one's keying
It has
Teslas.
gotten quiet. It has gotten
Yeah,
quiet.
everyone's stopped keying
Yeah.
Teslas and
Yeah.
So we probably should get into the news, but
Yeah.
doesn't that just show you how transient all of this?
It's a 24-hour
hysteria
news
is-
cycle. It is the 2 minutes of hate.
It's just boring. It's so like, oh, you're outraged. Oh, so the best meme, I'll pull it up. Right, the best meme I've seen so far, and I'm not laughing. I'm just saying I think this is well done. Is oh, hang on, I'll do that. Can you read that? Hang on.
You guys were just mad about jeans a couple of weeks ago, but are perfectly content watching a man get assassinated. Tell me you're mentally ill without telling me you're mentally ill. Yeah, it's not a bad point.
Does that just not summarize the last month?
Yeah.
Like, I think, you know, American Eagle Jeans was like literally a month ago.
Yeah.
And now we're watching literally cold-blooded murder
Yeah.
on your social media.
I would actually make the point slightly differently. I think actually the better illustration there is that they were mad about jeans when they were worn by Sydney Sweeney, but they were silent about the murder of Irina Zarutska,
Yeah.
right? Or Irina
Yeah.
Zarutska. For me, that kind of juxtaposes the hypocrisy even more clearly
Yeah.
than Charlie Kirk does.
And then, I mean, everyone's made that correlation between what happened with George Floyd and the riots and the burning down
Yeah.
of the Minneapolis police station and the autonomous zones and all that. And then for us, it's vigils, prayers.
Can we just talk about some of the horrifying things that are happening amongst young men, especially? Young men have been radicalized by the assassination of Charlie Kirk in ways that are truly unthinkable. They're going to church. They're wearing suits. We're seeing online people talking about going and actually making up with their fathers and trying to build bridges where they'd previously burnt them down. It's just horrific to think that people would act out in these ways. I think looting, burning down buildings, taking over city blocks, etc., is a much more appropriate way to respond.
I would agree. What? Breaking. Luigi Mangioni's first-degree murder charge in New York case is dismissed.
They may have gone for a lower charge. The American system's kind of weird like that.
Because the first-degree murder shows intent, doesn't it? It has to be
I
premeditated.
don't know. Don't remember the details, but they've got a bunch of different degrees of murder and then different degrees of manslaughter. And oftentimes it might be part of a plea bargain where if first degree might carry a death penalty. I don't know if it does in this case, but things like this happen where 1 degree carries a death penalty. So they say, listen, I'll plead guilty to a lower one that doesn't include death penalty, and that takes that off the table for me, but it makes it easier for you and guarantees you'll get a conviction. There's a lot of it's a wheeling and dealing. I don't think that's actually a good thing, to be honest. I think there's a lot of perverse incentives that emerge in the system because of that. But yes, just because the first degree murder charge has been dropped, I wouldn't assume from that headline that all the charges have been dropped.
I just saw that quickly. I was like, ooh. So I thought I'd show you this because I did talk about this. I won't play the whole thing because it goes for 2 minutes, but
I don't
Can you make that bigger?
Kind of
I
money.
can. Hang on. How does one? There you go.
I don't come from any kind of money, and I've never owned a suit before. My wife, she bought me this suit. Our anniversary's coming up, and we have a nice anniversary plan. You know, we make a little bit of money now, and I'm proud to say that, because that's certainly not where either one of us comes from. And I feel good in this suit, man. And I just want my wife to know she made me feel good. It's a $300 suit. I ain't never had nothing like this before in my life. And I tell you what, okay, video flip here, so I'm gonna lose some of you. I didn't know Charlie Kirk, never met that guy before in my life. And something else that I've never done before in my life is believe in God. I'm gonna wear this suit to church. I'm gonna go to church. I'm going to try to be a better father, husband, and leader for my family. They deserve that. My phone fell down. I guess that's the devil trying to fuck me up or mess me up right now. I'm gonna try, y'all. Look at this suit. I look good, bro. My wife made me feel this way. Charlie's made me feel this way. Yeah, messy.
Doesn't that just make you feel good?
Times that by minimum hundreds of thousands of people, quite probably over 1 million people, times that. Now, that won't stick for all of them. For some of them, this will be a moment and that'll fade. But for a very meaningful proportion, they will never be the same. And like we said at the start, Charlie Kirk kind of embodied in a younger form, in a relatable role model age for these teenagers and early 20s and even people into their 30s, what Jordan Peterson had talked about.
Well, here's a tweet from him. Get married, have children, build a legacy, pass down your values, pursue the eternal, seek true joy. Eventually, we will replace the nihilists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. This is honestly people are saying, "Oh, why are you still talking about Charlie Kirk?" There was this thing across Australian Twitter about 3 days ago that happened. Like, no one had ever heard of Charlie Kirk before he got shot. Like, why are we still talking about it? And people being really almost resentful. And I'm like, yeah, because no one will ever talk about you.
Yeah.
No one will ever say a word about you.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we're here. Let's talk about it. There's a few things I wanted to bring up. You've probably seen the barbs going between Senator Babbitt and this flame-coloured haired woman.
Oh, that did cross my feed. Yes,
Okay.
I haven't paid much attention to it. I got to be honest.
So I don't want to play the whole thing because it's pretty viral. So you
basically she lost her mind over the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
It's what she said.
Right.
There was she's your typical leftist saying typical leftist stuff, but it was the specific wording. He became a human water fountain. Now,
so to be clear, for those that haven't seen it and are listening, she was celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
No, so hang on. I've got to pull it up because it's the first couple of sentences that she says. So let me find the original. And she's made mainstream media news and she's gone hugely viral over this. Like, it's not good. Okay, here's the first one. So let me start.
I thought I'd do a quick check-in after yesterday and all of the drama. I want to reiterate that it is not wrong or unethical or unkind to laugh at the misfortunes of terrible people. Let's never forget that Charlie Kirk used his whole head to defend your Second Amendment right to own guns. That Charlie Kirk incited violence. That's what he did. And then that came back to haunt him. That was his decision. So it's got nothing to do with the people who are laughing and joking about him becoming a human water fountain.
I'm not going to play anymore. That was it.
Charming. Yeah.
Charming. And what do you think her occupation might be?
Look, people say don't judge a book by its cover, but there are some people that put a lot of effort into their cover, and you can kind of judge the book by the cover. I'm going to go like NDAS support worker or inclusivity something or other.
Mental health, baby.
Oh, you know what? You're right. That should have been obvious.
Yes,
Yeah.
mental health.
Yeah.
I have said this every podcast for like the last 2 months, but guys, this is why we're going to take back the universities. They are just indoctrination camps, and you are pumping out people. Like, this is the thing. She's got qualifications.
Yeah.
How the fuck she got those qualifications?
Yeah.
Because they've been taken over by zealots, nihilistic zealots. Anyway, so Retard Finder, you know the account on X.
Very funny account.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's an American account, found it or shared it. Then Libs of TikTok shared it. So it's gone mega, mega viral. And then she posted something basically saying like, now I'm getting doxed. And again, these leftists don't understand what dox means, but
Yeah.
also you are the ones that do the
Yeah.
doxing. So
and can we be clear? Someone taking the thing that you voluntarily put in public on the internet and making it reach more people on the internet is not a crime. Like you can't
that's
play the
definitely not
victim.
doxing.
Yeah, you can't play the victim just because somebody amplified the thing that you said voluntarily in public on the internet.
And so, like, I'll just bring you up to speed with what's going on. So since it went viral, she's followed up with this video.
So I received information that I've been doxed on X, so I'm going to have to step away for a little bit. And the AFP have been contacted, and also the E-Safety Commission as well have been contacted.
So she has reached out to the AFP and E-Safety Commissioner.
Of course.
Okay.
Impacted because there's been a large number of threats coming through. And the irony of this situation, that all I did was say some words that offended some people, and now people have decided to take that into the real world and start, threatening. And
Charlie Kirk also just said words.
Yeah.
And he took a bullet for it.
Yeah, but I think that's what she's trying to say. She's
Yeah.
like, well, all I was saying was that we can laugh at Charlie Kirk, and now you're doing to me the thing that you say you shouldn't have been under. She's trying to create a moral,
she's trying to
moral
use
equivalence.
she's trying
which
to
is
use a straw
completely
man.
false. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, now it got picked up by mainstream media news.
Yeah.
And I don't believe she's been fired, or I haven't seen anything about it yet.
And can I add one more clarifying statement? Being identified and being doxed are two very different things.
I have been doxed.
Yeah.
I know exactly what that feels like.
Being identified and having people say this is this person, and even where
This is
they
where she
work, and
works,
this is the position, this is the credentials. That is not being doxed.
And so basically her account was, shown everywhere, and her LinkedIn.
Yep.
This is the thing that people like, this absolute inability to take accountability for steps that you've taken. You've put yourself on LinkedIn.
Yep.
You've put yourself on TikTok.
Yep.
All people did was go TikTok person, LinkedIn, put it together.
And
That's
you
doxing.
decided
in her
that the
definition.
world needed to hear your opinion, your hot take on people, and
I
Charlie
think I
Kirk.
said this Monday. This is the other thing. People seem to be really, really unable to understand the whole concept of free will.
Yeah.
Where someone is like, oh, this is a hot take. I'm going to set my phone up, say it to camera, and then go, yeah, that's good. Let's post it.
Yeah.
That's called free will. No one made you do that. So
Yeah.
you put that video out, lady, and now it's gone mega viral, and you're seeing the consequences for it, and you don't like the consequences. So you want to be able to say the thing and stay in your little bubble and say heinous things. That's what Discord's for. That's what all those Reddit forums are for.
Yeah.
And then when it makes its way out into the public sphere, you don't want people to see it because you're like, oh, well, no, you were never meant to see it. Well, then you knew it was a bad thing to say.
Yeah, that's right.
So now Babette has, and look, I'm only over this on a very superficial level, so I haven't deep dived and read all the comments. But now she's put up another video, so maybe we can watch it together quickly.
So thank you to the people who brought to my attention that the person that was instigating the
I love how she says thank you for bringing it to my attention, as if she's not Googling herself and looking at it. But, whatever.
the online abuse and trolling against me was Senator Ralph Babbitt.
Okay, pause. One of the fastest ways that we watch narcissists try and elevate their own position in society is to pretend that they are pitted in battle against someone more important than them. So for her to be sitting here going, oh, this person is instigating against me, like a senator has paid personal attention to me and is marshalling their armies against me kind of idea. This is an effort to bring, again, a false equivalence.
Yes. And not only that, bullying me, he's saying all these things. These words mean nothing anymore. Oh, I'm being bullied. No. People were merely objecting to the video you put out. That's not bullying.
People are talking back.
Yeah. And someone's saying, normal tropes, like she looks like a leftist, she's got the flame coloured hair and whatever. Well, that's what you look like, honey.
Yeah, correct.
And that's why and I said before, when people usually wear outlandish clothes or look eccentric, they're trying to mask something.
Yep.
Anyway.
Him here, and if you search up his recent posts, there's a lot of AI generated content, which is what I really want to talk about here. So this post, for example, it's very clearly AI generated. You can see that it's written in such a way where it says like she appears to take joy. So it's very careful in the wording. That's classic
That doesn't
AI.
have to be AI.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Anyone with media training will write like that because they're aware of defamation and making sure,
Correct.
I write like that in
That's
my videos.
why you have to say allegedly.
Yeah, correct.
You don't want to be sued.
And the problem with that kind of AI content is that it makes Senator Babbitt's posts seem really reasonable, and it covers up the fact that he's struggling with feelings of anger and paranoia and a lot of delusional thinking.
Wow, amazing that she can diagnose people.
The projection is something else. This is...
Now, Senator Babbitt has access to mental health supports, but hundreds of thousands of Australians don't.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so victim. Yeah, equivalence. I must be important because I'm being attacked by somebody important.
Whataboutisms. Well, whilst we're looking at this one individual case,
Yeah.
we need to remember that collectively there's millions of people who are suffering.
And that's the
And
part
here
that
come the
really grinds my
violins.
gears, that this guy has access to mental health supports and chooses not to take them up, while the rest of us have to go without and have to deal with things on our own.
These people are unimaginable. I
can't help but notice that she's moved on a long way from the original discussion about her celebrating and defending the celebration of Charlie Kirk's death.
Zero
She doesn't
self-awareness.
seem to be too keen to keep talking about that.
zero self-awareness. It was picked up by the Herald Sun. It's been picked up by the Daily Mail, all sorts of things. And it's interesting because I've got a few friends who are leftists, and as I've said, like, we've known each other a really long time, and to their credit, they didn't drop me during COVID, and they still haven't dropped me now. And a few of them have even said, like, yeah, you have a knack for always being right.
Yeah.
And I said, yes. Do you know why I'm right? I'm not an oracle. I'm not a psychic. I'm logical. I'm rational.
I would add to that. So the thing that I say when people ask me why you good at what you do, I live life paying attention. Right? My antennas are always up.
Yeah.
And I'm always noticing. Now, that's tiring, that's exhausting, that has downsides. But if you're someone who notices and someone who then applies logic to what you're noticing, then you tend to be able to see things coming a little bit before
I think
most.
it's also a pattern recognition. So something that I can pick out very quickly is, most humans fall into a rhythm, whether we like to admit that or we don't. Everything that we do usually falls into a pattern. We have our personal patterns, we have patterns at work, and it's just easier that way. Otherwise, if life was just constantly up and down, you didn't know where it was going, you'd be like, there are patterns, there are movements, and it's quite predictable. And then that's how you stalk someone too, by the way. Like that's how it's easy to stalk someone.
I was going to say, if I ever need lessons in stalking, I'll come talk to you.
Well, you think about it, you usually take the same route home. You usually go to the same supermarket. You should normally eat the same thing or order the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So if that's true for us on an individual level, it's true for us on a collective level. None of this is new. This has all been happening for a long time. Thousands of years, not just tens of years. Like this is a human behavioral pattern. And when you read a history book, it's all there. It just looks differently. And I think what happens with a lot of people, it didn't happen specifically this way with these conditions. Therefore, it's not the same thing. And what you learn about when you actually go to university and you actually study and you don't just get indoctrinated is that those pattern recognitions help you go, well, hang on a minute, we saw something similar here. So it might be something similar over here. I wonder if they correlate. Let's study.
Do you mean to say, don't make me repeat myself?
Yes.
You made it switch. You made it switch back. Switch back. Come on. There we go. Shameless merch plug.
Yeah, and that's literally what it is. And it's just infuriating because I've told you the story about Stalin and how no one knows who Stalin is. And then I was talking about Castro, right? So I don't know if you've seen...
Sorry, Fidel or Justin?
Castro Senior.
Senior.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen recently, there's a lot going on in Cuba.
I actually haven't. No.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And I've got a couple of...
Because is it still his brother? Because Fidel's dead and his
Yes.
brother Raul, I think it was,
Yes.
took over. Is he still in power there?
To be honest, I actually don't like Cuba.
Yeah, I've not actually paid
leader-
attention to Cuba in some time. Ever since I discovered that other people also make good cigars.
Miguel Diaz.
Miguel, okay, no, I don't know. Clearly I'm out of date. Anyway, what's been
21.
happening recently?
So I follow a lot of travel bloggers, and one of them, a Kiwi guy, he's been in Cuba. And I was there 2019.
Yep.
So, 6 years ago? He was there last month.
Okay.
And I was gobsmacked with how much it has descended, like, further into
Even
poverty.
further. Wow.
Like, gobsmacked. So when I was
right.
there, because people don't believe me when I say this, there was no internet.
Mm-hmm.
There was one place where you could stand under a cell tower
Mm-hmm.
and you bought these little paper things that had little codes on them and you could log on to the internet. But it was insanely expensive. It was $25 US, and I think you got 5 minutes or 50 meg. It was, I can't remember if it was
Wow.
50 or 500 meg. It was tiny.
Yeah.
Right? Like you couldn't open social media.
I was going to say, you load Instagram
Yeah,
and you're
you
done.
couldn't.
Yeah.
All I did was go on, check my text messages, send someone, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm healthy, whatever. It was just too expensive otherwise. So I didn't post it on Instagram or anything the whole time I was there. And now he was saying that, there's no houses because everything's falling apart.
Yeah.
And he was showing what people are living in these old buildings that are falling on top of themselves. And so it'll be like a 6-story building and the first 2 floors, the 6th and the 5th floors have collapsed.
Yeah.
But they're still living on the 4th and the
underneath.
3rd.
Yeah, wow.
Knowing full well that
At some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And showing the poverty, they earn $10 a day, $10 a month, $10
Yeah. I was
US
going
a
to say
month.
$10 a day is actually much better than Venezuela, but yeah, a month.
Sorry, a month. And then
Yeah.
he showed this video. I'll try and pull it up. What's his name? I'll think of it as I'm talking. He met this Cuban man who had a scooter accident and he had a gash on the side of his leg and it was now gangrenous, right? Really bad. And all he needed was penicillin,
Yeah.
right? And he'd be fine. There is no penicillin.
No.
And
hang on. Fake news, because I watched a documentary where Michael Moore took a boat over to Cuba and he was so impressed with their universal healthcare, and Michael Moore would never lie.
yeah, Michael Moore wouldn't lie my ass. I don't actually know what happened since. I dare say, because this guy has a huge YouTube following, so I dare say people were like, let me help this guy, I want to help this guy, which is,
But how do you get help in? How do you
well, this is the thing. So you get paid pesos in Cuba, not US dollars. And pesos are worth nothing. So to convert pesos over to US dollars, and you need US dollars to buy the medicine, and it's really hard to get medicine. Now, these aren't my words. This is the words from a Cuban right now, and I'm trying to find this account. I cannot remember his name. But yeah, I was shocked, and I knew things had gotten pretty bad.
Well, it sounds like they've gotten to Venezuelan levels or even worse, because I've told the story before about the dad who had to go and basically sell his entire net worth.
But isn't Cuba further along than Venezuela, or did Venezuela collapse further?
Cuba started earlier, but Venezuela collapsed faster.
Yeah.
And Venezuela, this dad sold all of his earthly belongings to buy a package full of bandages, scalpels, saline solution, needles that are all brand new, because the Venezuelan socialist universal healthcare system had run out of all of those things. And it sounds like Cuba now has joined that inauspicious club.
Yeah. So I have got it here. Look, I've got an ad to play. So I normally have YouTube Premium, but did you know that if you pay for YouTube Premium through through the Apple Store, you pay $6 more than you should?
Wow.
So I cancelled it through Apple. So
Well, that's fine, because Apple users obviously have money to burn. That's why they buy Apple.
Well, we don't. This is the thing. So I apologise.
Well, hey, it's good. That's a good song.
No, we'll get
Bit of Avril Lavigne. Come on.
Well, we don't want a copyright.
Well, we're going
strike
to get a
for that.
copyright strike, so
For
you
that?
have to turn the audio off.
That was
that was probably short enough.
Okay,
but-
yeah. So I'll just wait for this ad to finish. But
Yeah.
this is Indigo Traveller. So he's got 2 million followers on YouTube. So it's a big account. All right.
Plagued by economic crisis,
Not enough food, medicine, or fuel.
no freedom of press or freedom of speech.
The largest protest since Fidel Castro's revolution swept Cuba.
Hundreds have been arrested.
Healthcare shortages,
We're short on creams, ointments, and antibiotics.
petrol and gas crisis,
Petrol shortages in Cuba became so severe, queues at the petrol pumps stretched for several city blocks.
collapsing infrastructure.
Building in Havana's historic district collapsed at midnight Tuesday, leaving at least 2 people dead.
The disintegrating buildings of Cuba's once magnificent capital.
A country stuck in time for decades. Sanctions choking the economy.
We will not lift sanctions on the Cuban regime.
Biden has authorized sanctions against communist Cuban officials.
Since the Cuban Revolution in the 1950s, fueled by hope for a better future, headed by Fidel Castro,
darnos por vencidos, renunciar a la revolución, renunciar al socialismo.
Fidel Castro was the world's longest-serving dictator.
Now, in 2025, things aren't looking as people hoped for. Follow me on this journey.
So I won't obviously play the whole video, but I want to get to the bit where he finds the man who has the injury. So he's with a local Cuban, and some of this looks familiar. Like I've been...
Well, some of these would be the streets you've been on.
Yeah, I've walked up and down these
the vehicles
streets.
you've seen. You know, and you talked about it beautifully when we were discussing some of the photos that you've got from your trip to Cuba. How if you take a step back and you kind of put on rose-colored glasses, you can romanticize it.
Yeah.
You know, the decay can
It's
be
like
beautiful
a Monet,
in its own way.
you know, good from far, far from good, you know?
You look at the cars, you're like, oh yeah, classic American muscle. But then actually look at the cars.
There's nothing authentic about those cars. So I just wanted to play this really quickly. It's just a good reminder of just how lucky we are.
Here with Ariel, who's
Ariel. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man.
So he's in Old Havana.
Want to know, man? I never said bullshit.
So what's happened here? Like you lost one leg, and the other leg's really infected, right?
I have an accident.
Somebody hit you in a car.
In the car. I stay in my bike, and somebody coming in the car and broken my femur, my arterial.
Your femur?
Yeah, I don't know how they live.
Wow.
And this
I think
one.
he said his artery as well. So
I have an accident. In my job, I am mechanic. I cut with a metal. Infection.
Infection, yeah.
And right now, I try to find medicine for everywhere, and it's impossible because my government makes something really wrong. Every Cuban people follow tourists, only for sharing money, because if you don't have euro, pound, Canadian, American, you can find sugar, coffee, milk, eggs, oil, fish, beef, so anything. But if you have a euro, pound, Canadian, you can buy everything, but Cuban people don't have access to this kind of money.
So you need foreign currency because local currency can't buy you the medicine, so you need the
anything.
foreign. So that's why...
No coffee, no sugar, no milk.
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're interested, it's called Indigo Traveler. He's great. And I will put these videos on and just watch them as I'm working. They go for, 30, 40 minutes. It's how I live vicariously through other people's travels. But that breaks my heart seeing that. And I just think, like, that's where we're going. The fact that there's a guy in New York saying he wants to have government-run grocery stores. The fact that we have people here like Abby Chatfield and Purple Pingers saying we need socialism. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it will take for these people to freaking open their eyes. I really don't.
Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not the Purple Pingers and the Abby Chatfields that are a danger. It's the Chris Bowens and the Anthony Albanese's. Look at what they're doing right now off the back of this report that's just been released.
Oh,
I could talk
the
for a
Doomsday
long time
one.
about that. The Doomsday Report, which is classic stitch up. They create the terms of reference or the scope specifically to get the outcome that they're looking for, and I can talk to that specifically if you want to go down that path, but. We don't. Our problem is not the socialists at the fringe. It's the fact that the socialists put on a suit and made themselves respectable and took over the Labor Party. This is exactly what Julia Gillard talked about. So she used to write for the Socialist magazine when she was at university. She was, I think, the editor, and she used to write for that. And she talked about it, and they talked about it. It was a part of Saul Alinsky. It was a part of the Rules for Radicals and that whole movement out of the US that reached globally. They talked about the fact that we've got to cut off the dreadlocks, get rid of the hippie clothes, put on a suit, get a degree, and go and take over the institutions. The Long March through the institutions was an idea that came out of Russia a few decades even before that, and that's been going on now for 80 years, and this is why the universities have been captured. You talk about that. But we have socialists at the top, And I've been saying since I came back from Venezuela, yes, if you're playing the drinking game, your liver is going to have a very bad time. Since I came back from Venezuela in 2015, we are not special. If we make the same stupid decisions, we will get the same stupid results.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we are still making consistently the same stupid decisions. Now, I don't think that's forever. I'm actually quite hopeful at the moment. I'm really encouraged by what's happening with the rejection of net zero in the Liberal Party, and I think there's a backlash that's where we're seeing it reaching its yielding fruit in the US. We're seeing it building pressure in the UK, and we're behind both of them. But I don't think we're a lost cause by any stretch of the imagination. But we have to be willing to make a radical reversal from the direction that we are going in, because although we are still a long way away from Venezuela and a long way away from Cuba, that's still a few decades away, the fact is the direction we are going in is that direction. And unless we turn around at some point, eventually the destination we reach is that destination.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm really genuinely worried about where things are going with not only our politics at large, but just seeing what all the young generation, they're completely enamored with socialism because they look at capitalism as the death of their opportunity, right? So they keep talking about late stage capitalism and how we're in a point where all of the money has been concentrated to the top 1% and they're disadvantaged. And as I said, a lot of these kids have grown up being indoctrinated with the fact that climate's literally about to implode, that there's no opportunities for them, they're never going to get a job, AI is going to take their jobs, and also, that getting married and having relationships and having babies is a terrible thing. And look how depressed they are. That's what we're up against. So yes, I agree with you, like Albo and all those people are terrible, but what about this next generation that are completely enamored with giving socialism a crack because they don't believe that what happened in the past relates to what's going to happen this time around?
Well, I hate to have to give you some credit. Firstly, that was very impressive for reasons that people will never know. But I have to give you some credit because you talk a lot about the fact that we have to get involved in the culture war. We have to respond to these influential influencers who have big audiences, even if we know what they're saying is nonsense. And I kind of rebel against that a little bit because my inclination is policy. It's politics, not culture. But the reality is...
Someone is trying to...
My phone is ringing off the hook today. But the reality is, unfortunately, we've got people that are... The classic thing that I see is people correctly diagnosing the problem and then prescribing the wrong solution. And so I listen to them, even socialists, I listen to them and they'll talk about the problem, the economy, no one can get ahead, poor people are suffering, cost of living is out of control. I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'm with you all the way. And then they prescribe their solution, which is government control, central planning, that sort of stuff. And so, we have to be reaching these people and saying, hey, actually freedom's the solution, not more government control.
Can I play you something? Just to lighten the mood.
Sure.
This is going to make me a bad person. But we're going to do it because...
you already were.
I am. Yeah. And I'm already going to hell. So fuck it. This is Abby Chatfield and her boyfriend. This is what we're up against. Hang on. So I can't play the music.
Yeah, we'll get a copyright strike.
So let me make it bigger. All right. So just imagine...
What are the words? I can't read them.
Hang on. What does it say? Last trauma dump show ever featuring my personalized Black Ferns jersey. All right. So
trauma dump.
Trauma dump. That's how they talk because everything's trauma.
Oh, goodness.
I literally just played a video of a Cuban man who's got gangrene because he can't get access to medicine.
Yeah,
but hey, Abby, tell me how traumatized you are. Okay, so we're going to watch this quickly. That is Abby's boyfriend in the back. This is what people put on TikTok.
Again, I mean, this is a lot like that other video that we watched. It's like...
Butts hanging out. Look at the boyfriend. Look at his face. He is...
the term cuckold comes to mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's got a successful career.
Does he? I don't know.
Well, he's part of Peking Duck.
Oh, okay,
so,
right, yeah. I've heard of them.
They've had big songs, and I quite like some of their songs. But he's just standing in the back watching his girlfriend post shit like this.
This is basically OnlyFans.
It's But this is the person we're meant to take seriously.
Yeah.
This is the person that Anthony Albanese
Yeah.
sat down with
Okay.
for a 90-minute interview.
So you tell me, I've been debating doing a video for a little while, and it's going to get me in the bad books of people like Clementine Ford, which, you know, I'm okay with that, but I haven't upset her specifically previously, so that'd just be opening up a new battlefront, so to speak. But basically holding up Abby Chatfield and Clementine Ford, and there's a few others as well that I'd add to the list.
Hannah Ferguson.
And saying, hey, young women, this is feminism. This, if you buy into the feminist trope that all of your woes are caused by the patriarchy, that you could be anything and anyone and you're perfect and wonderful just the way you are, and if anything about your life isn't exactly how you want it to be, then it must be a man's fault.
Yeah.
If you start to buy into these sorts of tropes and ideas, this is who you will become. This is the model that you're following.
I think people are waking up. So apparently she's crashing out. So I'm just going to play this really quickly. I haven't actually watched this, but so she put up an 11-page statement saying that she lives in fear now because of the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Poor
then, but this is the thing. Abby says one thing, and then the next day she's completely reneged on it. And she's doing the opposite.
Correct.
Oh, I'm taking a break on social media, and then they're going to post 20 TikToks.
But we've talked about this. She switches from being the abuser to playing the victim.
Correct, like a
seamlessly.
genuine psychopath.
Yeah.
So, hang on, let's watch this.
On when I ever celebrated Charlie Kirk's death. Would love a quote. Comment it below what I said. Because I actually didn't do that. So you've made this up in your head and you have 600 likes on that comment. I'm getting death threats because people like you are spreading shit like this.
I'm sorry, Abby, but death threats, grow up. You have put yourself in that position. That is what you have to accept. And you've said this to me. Other people have said this to me. Carly, if you're going to be on a big platform, you are going to get horrible messages. There is a big difference between someone saying you're an idiot, whatever, than someone actually taking action.
Well, actual death threats should be brought to the attention of the police.
Yes.
Okay, because that is a serious
Not
thing.
TikTok.
Not TikTok. But also, there's a couple of things here, and we were discussing this in relation to a video that was put up by Friendly Geordies earlier, where you and I have very different views on.
We can talk about that now, I feel like.
So one of the things that Friendly Geordie says in this particular video is that the Democrat leadership in the US universally condemned the shooting of Charlie Kirk. And he was trying to contrast that against the Republicans and saying, well, the Republicans sought to politicize it, but the Democrats, they were the grown-ups in the room and they said all the right things. And what Abby's saying there is, well, after the shooting, I said all the right things. I think that's debatable. However, let's just take her claim at face value. Before the shooting, she was calling for the assassination of Donald Trump. Before the shooting, she was talking about MAGA being Nazis and how they were fascists and how they were going to take over the world and people were going to suffer.
Just a week ago, she talked about the August 31st marches and said they should die. And this is her boyfriend. This is old mate, right? What's his name? Adam something.
What? Just, okay.
Oh, sorry. Adam something, right? Can't even remember his proper name. He's in Peking Duck. He did that video where Abby said, oh, you know, if you won't listen to a hysterical woman. And his comment was, you should die.
Yeah.
You should die. That's his words.
And again, they went, yeah, we'll post that. We'll post that.
And that's what I'm saying. So I have zero sympathy for Abby Chatfield now.
What I want to point out explicitly is just because you know the right things to say, and I actually don't, I think she's actually lying. I do think that she celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk, but I don't have chapter and verse on that. So I'm going to assume that she's actually correct here and that I'm misremembering or attributing to her something that was said by others. Okay, let's just assume that's what's happening here and that she's 100% right. The fact that she knew what to say afterwards does not erase what she said beforehand. In the same way that Friendly Geordie's point about the Democrats all saying the right thing, there's no place for political violence, doesn't change the fact that they spent years whipping up the fake scare around January 6th, calling it an insurrection when it was nothing of the sort.
Yeah.
They spent years whipping up fear around Trump being literally Hitler. You can't have a university and a high school system that has thought bubbles. Would it be right to go back in time and kill baby Hitler and then call an aspiring president literally Hitler and pretend that you're not calling for something to happen?
Have you seen that Babylon Bee skit about the leftist who goes back into...
Yeah.
So for those who haven't seen it, it's a skit by the Babylon Bee, and it's this leftist who goes back in time to kill Hitler. And he's sitting there, Hitler's sitting there painting. And the leftist is like, freeze, I'm going to shoot you. And then Hitler's like, oh, God, another one, right? It's
not this again.
It's actually really funny. I should play it. I don't want to get copyright strike, though. But and then Hitler's like, oh, before you kill me, I must ask, what is it? And she's like, oh, you, and she goes through all these things that Hitler does. He's like, so you also hate the Jews? Yes, I hate the Jews too. We've got lots in common. And then she's like, oh, no, it's not that. Like, we don't believe in segregation except at universities and here and here. He's like, oh, so you also like to be the superior race? Oh, we have so much in common. Yeah. And then it goes on and on and on and on. And then Hitler's like, did we just become best friends? And it's like, this is the point that they can't see, that everything that they're advocating for is actually fascism. Yeah. Yet they call us the fascists.
And just because they know how to say the right things afterwards, it doesn't change what they said and did before.
No, they over-intellectualize the most mundane, stupid things, like the chick with the flame hair that we put on. You hear her going, okay, this is the problem. And then what you see this roundabout in their discussion. So the point was here, they're like, oh, but actually, when we look at all the other people who don't have access to mental health, the conversation was about Charlie Kirk's assassination and what you said about it. Correct. But you've made it go, oh, but other people don't have access to mental health. It's the same comment when they go, oh, but you're talking about Charlie Kirk, but children are dying in Gaza.
That's right.
And it's a diversion. Yeah. They never actually want to have the conversation. They will completely disrupt the conversation and make it all about the whataboutisms. Yeah. Because if you actually sit them down and you actually have that conversation and they realize they're the bad guys, their brains will explode. Yeah. You are the bad guys. If you laughed at murder, you are on the wrong side. Yeah. If you cheered for lockdowns, you're on the wrong side. If you think it's okay for a 4-year-old to start taking hormone blockers, you are a monster. You are no different to Mengele. Mm-hmm. But they can't see that.
So I've got a comment on the hormone blocker thing as well, but I want to stick with the Charlie Kirk thing and the
whilst you do that,
the flame-haired lady. The flame-haired lady, what's her face? We just watched Abby. Saying, "Oh, I never celebrated his murder." And Friendly Geordie's saying that the Democrats all said the right things after the shooting. I think the meme that I think encapsulates this best is one that I saw. I can't claim credit for. That says they didn't shoot Charlie Kirk because he was a Nazi. They called Charlie Kirk a Nazi so that they could shoot him.
Yes.
Right. And so, in a very real sense, the groundwork of branding MAGA as Nazis, branding Trump as a Nazi, branding it as fascism, branding January 6th as an insurrection, all of that was laying the groundwork for someone to get shot. Mm-hmm. And for an Abby Chatfield or a Friendly Geordies to come out and say, oh, but we said the right things after the shooting happened, for me is actually really low. I find that a really despicable way to try and defend yourself.
It's totally contemptible, but they do that so that they can be like, it absolves them of any responsibility. Correct. I didn't call for that. So what I still don't understand, I mean, I do understand it, so that's kind of a rhetorical statement. But what I'm trying to point out is Abby Chatfield put up a video calling for incels to murder Donald Trump. Yep. Like that video is circulating again. She did it like 2 months ago. It did get picked up for like a minute in the mainstream media. Why did no political figure condemn that? Anthony Albanese, who sat down with Abby.
Yeah, he did a podcast with her.
Not one key like government political figure condemned her for that.
Now, I could argue that pre it going viral, they didn't want to give it oxygen. There is an argument there that says, well, I'm the Prime Minister, I shouldn't be giving oxygen to people like that. The fact that he had been on her podcast makes that problematic. Once it's already gone viral, then you kind of get forced. It's the same as me. I don't like to talk about certain things because I don't want to give them oxygen. But once they're already massive, it's like, well, I'm not really adding to their virality. I'm now countering it.
But the issue I have is particularly Clementine Ford doesn't get mainstream media attention much anymore unless she says something truly terrible, and she usually ends up in the Daily Mail. But Clementine Ford, remember, she had the Voice of the ABC, SBS. She was Sydney Morning Herald. She was a columnist. She had publishing deals with big publishing houses. So Clementine Ford, whether we like it or not, she was actually in the mainstream zeitgeist. Yeah. She was giving her feminist take. She's been on Q&A and all the big talk shows, whatever. And she was on The Project last year, but now she's toxic. People are like, no, we don't want her on here. Yeah. They might still align with her views, But because she's so volatile,
Yeah.
they're not willing to put her on a show.
And she's gone so far that she's gone outside of the Overton window. Even though the Overton window, I would argue, is very friendly to her side of politics, she's still pushed outside of it.
But yet Abby Chatfield still hasn't been pushed out. I don't follow her and I don't watch enough of her content to be able to comment, but I dare say she has sponsorship arrangements, she has endorsements. She's just recently bought a $1.7 million house. So, to get that mortgage, she has to have income.
There's got to be income, yeah.
And it would be substantial income. So Abby hasn't felt the consequences yet.
Yeah.
And then Peking Duck, the problem with Peking Duck, right? They're a Triple J band. Whether you like them or know who they are, it's inconsequential to this discussion.
Yeah.
Triple J is far left.
Yeah.
It has gone. It was always left, but it's gone progressive
It used
left.
to be soft left. It's now hard left.
It's progressive left. So he's saying all the right things, which is why his songs get played. If he wasn't saying what he was saying, it would actually jeopardize his career. I would say, in a weird way, he is getting rewarded for dating Abby Chatfield.
Yeah.
Now, you and I are going to sit there and go, what the hell? But in their sphere, that's great.
Yeah, and for them, I mean, there's a business model to be made there. There is an audience to be
100%.
made there.
He's playing a smart game, and we can't.
I don't
hate
begrudge
them for
that.
Playing the
I
game.
don't begrudge that, but don't go to the point where you're defending murder, even through obfuscation. Even through this kind of.
Did you say the word? No.
No.
Oh,
I said obfuscation.
Oh, sorry.
Very different word. No, you won. I can't come back now. You've won this round. I'll get you next time.
Gadget.
A gadget. I would have won too if it weren't for you dastardly kids. So, now I've lost my train of thought. Once they cross over to that, I lose all respect for the business model. I'm a capitalist at heart. If you found a niche audience and you can give them what they want, okay, fine, you do you, right? If you can sleep at night, you do that. But you start to cross over into this point where you're actually celebrating murder and you're defending and obfuscating on behalf of the people that laid the groundwork for that murder. No, sorry, I've got a problem with you at that point.
Yeah. I think there's I'm pretty sure I said this on Monday night's podcast. There's people who are standing on the moderate left or, just off the left going, oh, shit.
Oh, definitely. There are an enormous number of people who they joined the left because the left said, we're the tolerant side, the loving side. We're the side that accepts everybody. And, of course, that hasn't been true for decades, but that's been their brand. And if people didn't get deep into that world, they could believe it. They could,
What I find really interesting is there's now a substantial amount of people who will be politically homeless because we're still Nazis, we're still fascists, right? It's as far as they're concerned, we are the condemned. So for them, they look at people like yourself and I, who I would say I'm pretty centrist on a lot of stuff.
I don't think I'm a centrist, but I'm neither left nor right. I'm freedom oriented.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
I'm relatively extreme on the freedom end of the spectrum. Yes,
libertarian, but that's when we start getting into the minutiae of political rhetoric. People don't mostly understand what that is.
Yeah.
So people will go.
People assume I'm some extreme right winger.
That's exactly what I mean.
Until they actually take a second to think about the policies.
But people only think it's a binary.
Yeah,
it's
correct.
either left or right. People don't realize it's a sphere, and you can fall. I mean, it's more than that. What's the chart where the circles overlap? What's that called?
A Venn diagram.
Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris's favorite. I think politics is a bit more like a Venn diagram. You can be a little bit of all sorts of pockets. But so these people who are, I'm not going to say apathetic. They're politically engaged on a very superficial level. They've probably seen stuff shared on social media. A lot of them would be pro-Palestine purely because of the social media stuff, like, oh no, the children, right? And I understand that position. If you're not paying attention, seeing children die is horrific. No one wants that. I don't think that's a weird statement to make. But for these people, they're like, oh, well, I want to be on the side that's protecting the children. And the left are like, well, that's us. Come to us.
Yeah. It's branding.
There's no more discussions beyond that point.
Yeah.
Same with LGBT. Oh, we want to be on the side where these people are accepted. Oh, well, that's our side. We want to be on the side where we care about people. That's our side. So now that they're standing on the side with all these people who they thought were good people who are laughing and mocking at murder, they're probably going,
Absolutely.
I thought they were the bad guys.
So we've discussed before that oftentimes when it comes to political discussion, the hardest part is not convincing someone that you're right. The hardest part is getting them to accept the possibility that they might not be 100% right.
Yeah.
And moments like this cause an enormous number of people to go, whoa, I'm in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And that's a huge shift.
And the problem with that shift is, you're going to have that cognitive dissonance where you're still trying to justify it. You're still like, oh, that was probably not good, but still. And we were talking about friendly Geordies. And I said to you, I think this is great. And you're like, it's not enough and whatever. And I totally agree with you on that point. My point was he could have said the Abby Chatfield thing and he didn't.
I actually think it's worse than not enough. If we get there in this episode, I actually think that he's doing precisely what he's accusing the Republican Party of doing.
By politicizing it?
No. So, for example, he turns around and he says... I would have to watch it again, but as I was watching, I was like, no, that is exactly the psychological technique you're using in this video. There's two different examples where he's accusing the Republicans of doing a certain thing. I'm like, no, this is literally what we're watching in real time. You are doing the thing.
But that's the only way they know how to win is deflect.
Well, yeah, but so you kind of said, oh, this is amazing, and I go, no, actually, this is deeply. This shows a lack of self-awareness to a degree that I didn't like. I've given Friendly Geordies credit in the past, and now I'm like, oh, you actually really lack self-awareness.
Oh, I agree with you, but my issue is, our issue is we over-intellectualize and see things at a deeper level. I think for most people who watch Friendly Geordies or punters, they don't go that deep.
Well, yeah, because if you went deep, you wouldn't watch Friendly Geordies or punters.
Yes, but that's my point. So whether we like it or not, they have audiences. They have people who watch them. The superficial commentary could have been, haha, he's dead.
Yeah,
he
and it
didn't
was.
take
okay,
that.
Credit where it's due.
So that's my point.
He didn't celebrate.
Because he had an assassination attempt on him. They firebombed his house.
So that was during the time I think when he was going toe to toe with Barilaro.
Yeah, or it's just after.
Just after all of that. So
he was already out of politics. So
yeah, I don't know if it's related to that or not. Disclaimer, allegedly.
Super shady character, this Barilaro.
Yeah. There's a lot of water trading stuff went on with him and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So I've got a lot of time for Friendly Geordies. For Jordan Shanks is his real name. In the sense that he's built a successful media brand in Australia where it's very tough to do so. He's been consistent with his content, and we both know how difficult that is to do. He's managed to build a business model around it, which not everyone has the mental horsepower to, they can make the content maybe, but they can't necessarily build a business around it. And he's done a good job of what he's done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what I haven't seen him do over time is I haven't seen an increase in the depth with which he looks at issues. There's a shallowness there. There's a talking points there. And I come across this a lot in my work. A lot of people come to me and they want to try and tell me why I'm wrong. And the classic one is a story I've talked about before. It's when I was living in Fitzroy in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. I lived there for 4 years, and I called it my 4 years living behind enemy lines because I was surrounded by people that really didn't like me. And I did a lot of work on climate change during that time. I did my 50 to 1 project where I flew to the US and Canada and interviewed a bunch of people in Australia and overseas and put together this documentary series, or this interview series rather. And this guy stopped me on the street, and he was Fitzroy personified. He was wearing hemp clothing, had dreadlocks, riding a tricycle on the back, out of the like a woven basket that he had on the back of his tricycle. He was selling homebrew beer, right? This guy was Fitzroy in a capsule.
Yep.
And he pulls over, and he'd recognize me. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a fun conversation. I was walking. He wants to take me to task because I was objecting to the carbon tax because Julia Gillard was trying to ram through her not a carbon tax at the time. And we began to talk, and he was friendly enough that we were able to have a good faith conversation. But he did exactly the thing that you observed a moment ago, where they won't stick on the one thing because as soon as they realize they're vulnerable on that thing, they then change the subject to this and change if they just can keep the goalpost moving fast enough.
It's like they balloon out too. It's not that they're moving the trajectory, but they're zooming out, because we were talking about Charlie Kirk on an individual level, but then she noticed that flame-haired chick.
Yeah.
She zoomed it out to all the people who don't have access. Oh my God.
With no access to mental health support.
Because it's more powerful. You say all the millions of Australians who don't have access. It's like you went from...
In her defense, she said hundreds of thousands, or 100,000.
Yeah.
But it's the same sort of tactic. And I called him out on it.
Yeah, okay.
And then he went, and suddenly he had somewhere to be, and he got on his bike and he rode off.
Yeah.
And that was just an interesting little lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the same thing happen with Friendly Geordies.
Yeah.
He seems very intellectual. When he gets to speak, no one can reply, no one can debate him, no one can actually take him to task and pin him down and say, this thing, we're going to hash this out. Right? For as long as he gets to control the narrative, I could have stopped him at any one of a dozen points through that video that you sent to me, and taken him to task on that.
Yeah.
And I might not have won all 12 debate points. I'm open to the idea that I might be wrong on some things, but I can tell you for a fact I would have won a good chunk of them.
They don't like debate, though. If I've learned anything, what they like is a soapbox moment. Same with Clementine Ford. Like, she did, I think it was an hour, and I didn't watch the whole thing. And I to be honest, she's one of those people that I like, knowing she exists and knowing her rhetoric is so inconsequential, because she's so far gone that it's not worth concerning myself with her stuff. Even though she went after me, I'm like, dude, if you're if you're making me the bad guy, I will wear that as a badge of honor, because I do not want to be on your side in any capacity. Yeah. And all of your ilk. But oh my God, I just left my train of thought. Oh, Geordies and all that. What was I going to say?
I don't know. We're talking about the fact that they can't stick to one thing and
that's
taking them to
soapbox.
task. Yeah.
So they would rather be on their TikTok or their Instagram making stories. And then what happens is they'll get one or two comments they don't like, and then they'll do reaction videos. And that sort of fuels their content. But they never actually will sit down with, say, you. Like, imagine trying to get Clementine Ford to sit next to you here. It just won't happen. There's no way she'll sit down for a sit, because they can't.
And if they do, so this is where Q&A becomes so toxic. So the ABC program Q&A tries to put on the pretense of a debate. They try to put on the pretense of, we've got all sides represented here. Well, the first thing they do is they control what all sides means. So they shape the Overton window by simply defining what all sides of a debate means. They skew it, and then there are debate tactics that people can use. And without a moderator who's really sharp, people can monopolize the time. People can use various tactics of obfuscation or of moving the goalposts and these various tactics. And if you don't have a good moderator or a well-managed clock, this is how you solve most of these problems, is like a chess clock type of system.
Yeah.
Where you say, all right, this is going to be a 1 hour program. You're getting a half an hour of talk time each. It's on each side of your clock. Anytime the other person's talking, you hit your button down so your clock stops and their clock starts. Yeah. And no one gets more than 30 minutes. And at that point, you might be able to have something resembling a discussion. But when you've got the likes of people that are really used to having that soapbox, then they can't sit and listen long enough. Yeah. And this, I've had plenty of debates on street sides with plenty of different people. They cannot wait for you to finish your point. I'll wait for them to finish their question.
Because they're ready to smack you down.
Well, as soon as they start to go, oh, hang on, this isn't going well for me, they have to move the goalposts before you get the chance to kick the goal. Yeah. And so they're going to come back in over the top of you. Oh, what about? Oh, what about? Oh, what about? Yeah. It's like, well, no, hang on. We'll get to that. Yeah. That's fine. I've got all day. We'll get to that. But let's start here.
Well, that's why they use the whataboutisms, because it immediately, firstly, it deflects, but also it buys them time to try and find that virtuous point where they can hammer it back to you and go, oh, well, you don't care about children dying, do you?
Yeah. Now, I said before I wanted to make a comment on the transgender side of things. I read something today that I went, why have I never thought of that before? That is so blindingly obvious.
I feel like I know what you're going to say.
Okay.
I feel like we read the same tweet.
Well, I posted it. You might have read it on my
possibly
my, X. Is if someone feels like if someone who's biologically male feels like they're female, why do we give them female hormones? Why don't we give them testosterone, male hormones, so that they feel more male?
Life's big riddle.
Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we want how they feel to align with who they are biologically. We can't change who they are biologically. We can just change the appearance in terms of genitalia and so forth. So why don't we change how they feel? And if we use hormones to do that, is that such a bad thing?
You are about to open a big can of worms, because when we start to talk about hormone function and we start to talk about the testosterone depletion in young men as a consequence to our current diets.
Diets and lifestyles, yes.
Yes, there's a reason we call them soy boys.
Yeah.
Soy is full of estrogen. Mm-hmm. Men have chronically low testosterone.
Chicken these days is full of estrogen.
Yes. A lot of our food is. And then women have the opposite. Women have higher testosterone for a couple of reasons. One is diet. It's also the lifestyle that they lead.
Okay, join those dots for me, because at face value, this is not something I've looked into deeply before. At face value, if the diet is causing men to have not enough testosterone, how would diet be causing women to have excess?
Well, it has a lot to do with the contraceptive pill.
Okay.
For starters.
Yeah.
So whether they're taking estrogen or progesterone, they're all different combinations, or Implanon, or what's the one that the other one that goes in your cervix? I can't remember. I am so anti contraceptive pills and all that stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. But so basically, and also the SSRIs.
Yeah.
So you got to think about all these things, and then add to that Ritalin and all the other things that we are putting into our bodies.
Yeah.
So men are a little bit less complicated, and I am not a hormone expert.
Men are extremely simple.
But men's hormones are flatline.
Not quite. There are variations, and there is a cycle there.
As you get older, you do decline, and that's why I'm very pro men taking testosterone later in life, because it does, aside from sexual function, it also affects a lot of other things like keeping your muscle mass, cognitive functions, a lot of those things. So stabilizing your hormones is a good thing to do, and there's a lot of research around that, and that's why they hate Joe Rogan, because he's very pro HRT for men and things like that. Because when you say testosterone, people think you're just trying to get juiced.
Yeah, roids.
Yeah,
people confuse the two.
No, there's definitely things that you can do, and not everyone's trying to build mass. Some people are just trying to maintain their muscle, and you need that as we're living longer. A lot of women have never touched a weight by the time they get to their 60s, and they wonder why their bones break when they're older. But so with women, obviously we know the obvious thing, like we all have periods, right? So your hormones go up on a roller coaster and then you come down. Yeah. And I know a lot of men will be like, oh, I know what a hormonal woman is. And sure, like women who don't pay attention to those things can be a little unhinged. And I see why men say that, because they are victims to their body. Their body is assaulting them from the inside out. So you know how I sometimes mix my words up?
Sure.
You know how I've been really self-conscious about this?
Okay. Yeah.
Really self-conscious, because I know exactly what I want to say.
Yeah.
The complete wrong word comes out.
Right.
And I feel like an idiot. And it's making me really self-conscious. And I was like, this is a problem. So I went and spoke to my friend who is a hormone specialist.
Right.
And I was like, what is going on? And she said to me, she's like, Carly, you're perimenopausal. You have all the signs.
Right.
And she's like, what's actually happening is your hormones are adjusting. And so your brain fog is real. That's why your cognitive abilities are destabilizing.
Yep.
And your short-term memory will be suffering a little bit. And she's also like, it's just these little like quirks. And it comes to do with the fact that, as you're getting older, like everything's changing. So, down the track is menopause, God help me. And I didn't know any of this shit, right? I did not know. I knew the obvious stuff, but I didn't realize that as a woman, as you get older, your hormones are going to change the way that your brain functions.
Yeah.
And so men are wondering why women change as they go older. How do you end up as a Clementine Ford or an Abby Chatfield? There is a bigger conversation there about what have we been doing to women through contraceptive pills, through SSRIs or whatever they're called. What is happening to the mind of women? I would argue that's probably a rabbit hole we should go down.
Yeah, it's certainly long-term use of contraceptive hormonal therapies, pills, etc., does seem to be a pretty big elephant in the room. And they do, it is acknowledged that you shouldn't use them long-term, blah, blah, blah.
But no, it's not.
A lot of women end up on them long-term.
So my generation, we were put on them at 15. Oh, you've got a heavy period? Oh, here, take the contraceptive pill.
Yeah, right.
Thank God my parents were like, absolutely fucking not. You're not going on any of that shit. I think in their mind they were like, if she's on contraception, she's just having sex. But I tried one of them.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was. It was a pill, and I was on it for like maybe 1 or 2 months, and I was like psychotic.
Yeah.
I felt out of control, and I immediately stopped it. I've never tried it again since. And I've seen friends go from, I cannot remember I want to say Miranda. It's not Miranda. It's the thing that goes inside. IUD. I've seen people get that, and that's a horrific experience to begin with, because they cut you open and sorry, gentlemen, but that's what happens. But it shifts their personality.
Yeah.
And so does the pill.
Because that's the one that slowly releases hormones?
Yeah, I think it stays in there the whole time. I don't know anything about it because I don't do any of this stuff, but I do know there is research done on the fact that the actual pill changes your hormones in a way that you will be attracted to someone that you wouldn't normally be attracted to if
I've
you
seen
weren't on the
some
pill.
of this, yeah. And then if you ever get with someone and they say, hey, let's have a kid, and you stop taking the pill.
You suddenly don't find your partner attractive.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me because to be honest, I'm in the dark with a lot of this stuff. But one of my good friends is a hormone specialist. So I'm learning through her just by what she puts on social media. And I'm like, I've never thought about that. And I'm the most unwomanly woman there is. Like, I don't really, I wouldn't even know if I was in the luteal phase or the follicular phase. I have no idea. I don't know this stuff.
I don't know what those words mean.
They're the different phases of your menstrual cycle. So that's what I mean. I don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm learning because it was the speech thing for me that sent me.
Yeah.
And like, G does it playfully. He's like, oh, you mean this? And I was like, didn't I say that? He's like, no. I'm like, and I didn't realize it until I watched the podcast. I'm like, I sound like an idiot. And it's frustrating because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. And then you don't realize that. So when I look at Abby Chatfield, Clem Ford, and a lot of these feminists, right, like particularly flame-haired coloured lady and all of that, I want to be careful saying that because it's not a woman thing. I think it's a environmental thing that's been done to women. Do you remember in the 50s, women used to be called hysterical?
I don't remember the 50s, no.
But no, but you remember that time period.
Sure, yes.
Women would be called hysterical and women were often lobotomized and things like that.
I don't know if often is a accurate characterization, but yes, it happened. Yes.
Yeah. So JFK's sister was lobotomized, and she became a vegetable as a consequence to it because their personalities were quirky or whatever. Like even far back, female orgasms were considered hysterical.
Yeah. So for those who may not know this piece of history, because this is a particularly effed up piece
niche.
of history, they would go to the doctor. So a husband would take his wife to the doctor if she expressed pleasure during sex or as a result of sex. And there was a form of therapy that we now know to be basically a doctor masturbating a woman.
Yes.
To get the orgasm out of her, to get the hysteria out of her.
An exorcism.
And it was viewed as a doctors didn't want to do it. So it was usually the junior doctor. So you would come in as like an intern, as a junior doctor, which back then it was basically like an apprenticeship. These were teenagers coming in and they would be the ones, she's coming for her hysterics again. Okay, well, here's what you need. This is the therapy for that. Completely fucked up.
So when people say history is boring, I'm like, are you joking? History is fascinating.
So many layers of wrong.
Yeah, it's like, and I said, I don't know enough about this stuff, so I'm literally just like regurgitating what I'm learning from my friend. But now that I'm aware, I'm like, yes, there's an element of these people being indoctrinated, sure. But I think it's really simplistic to be like, this person's just an idiot. I don't think Clementine Ford is an idiot at all. I've said that before. Do not underestimate your opponent. She's actually incredibly intelligent. I think she's a wounded soul. And I think that nature versus nurture, there's an element of that too. But her dad is a One Nation senator, or was. So I don't know enough about Clem, to be honest. I just know that.
Well, so I would say that feminism is toxic. And, I use toxic specifically. It's not poisonous, it's toxic. So as something that is toxic, you can tolerate a certain amount of it. Yes. And actually, initially, you might have no negative symptoms at all below a certain threshold. And then slowly those symptoms will increase. And it's one of those things that ultimately, if you continue to expose yourself, your symptoms will get worse and worse and worse over time. Now, the reason why it's toxic is there's a couple of specific reasons. Firstly, it completely removes your locus of control, externalizes it out to other people. People say that feminism is about empowerment. No. Feminists are the most disempowered women you will ever meet because they are a victim of the patriarchy, which is another way of saying the patriarchy make all the decisions. And life happens to me.
I have no free agency.
Correct. So they've externalized their locus of control, placing themselves as perpetual victims who can't do anything about it except rage.
Yes.
And raging doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So they're stuck. In life, they're stuck. That's the first reason why feminism is toxic. The second reason why feminism is toxic is because it poisons all of your relationships with the opposite sex. We've raised these women and so disappointment can only be measured in terms of expectation. If you don't have an expectation, you can't be disappointed.
Yeah.
So we take young girls and we give them expectations that are completely fantastical, out of this world. You're amazing just the way you are. You can have you can have it all. You can be the boss lady, you can be the mum, you can be wear the pants in the household and earn all the money and all of those things all at once.
Yeah.
Like you can have everything. Now that's fantasy. Not even men can have all of those things, right? And obviously the reason I say not even men is because the physical toll of having a child is a lot lower on a man. So it's even more difficult for a woman. No one can have everything. But we fill girls' minds, and boys to a certain degree, but we're focusing on feminism. We fill girls' minds with this expectation that will never be met.
Yeah.
And then we tell them, if you're unhappy with your life, it's a man's fault because we've externalized their locus of control. So we have condemned them to unhappiness because they have expectations that will never be met. And we have condemned them to helplessness because we've told them that they can't change their circumstances because they're a victim. And then we wonder why they end up being Clementine Ford.
And that's what I'm saying. So, I say this because I see a lot of disparaging comments on social media like, oh, she's an idiot, she's ugly, whatever. That's not helpful. I think Clem's way too far gone. She's done. But someone like Abby, she is an opportunist. If the tide shifts enough, you will see a lot of these people jump ship. But you're already seeing it with Gen Z.
I don't know if Abby would. I don't know if Abby could.
I don't know. I don't know if she could.
Yeah. Others, I agree. There are certainly people that will.
There's people on the spectrum. But what I am definitely noticing, because I guess I'm looking for it now, and with the podcast, I consume so much content now, it's crazy. But it's like it hasn't clicked, right?
Yeah.
We're still a little while away for it to click. But there is definitely this disconcernment around like things feel off, I feel like I've been sold a lie.
Yeah.
And you're seeing
and
that
a lot of people have been.
You're seeing that particularly around dating culture. These women are like, well, why isn't he doing this and why isn't he doing that? And the whole conversation has always been, well, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah. And this is actually really important because there's a new emerging subculture now of people railing against basically useless men, incel type men, and those men exist, right? I'm not going to say that every single guy is great. Actually, there is a large cohort that are completely useless. They have no ambition, they have no skill, they don't know how to treat a lady, let alone treat themselves. That is true. Those people exist.
I'm going to tell you a story about that in a second too.
But at the same time, if you want someone who isn't that, you'd better give them a reason to want you.
Yeah.
Right? Because by definition, now we're talking about half or less of the potential dating pool.
Yeah.
And only a portion of that half are going to be desirable to you physically and financially and in personality-wise and in other ways.
Yeah.
So by definition, ladies, you are chasing a small proportion, and this has been borne out in numbers from dating websites where women tend to be swiping on only, say, 3% of the men when men will be swiping on 50% of the women. Women are trying to date up. We've talked about this before.
Yep.
And so, ladies, the fact that half of the men are useless means that you have to be even more competitive. You have to actually bring even more to the table, not less. They use that as an excuse. Well, I don't have to bring anything because half the men are useless. Well, sure, but that's not the half you want. You want a man from the half that is useful, that has value, that is a go-getter, that looks after himself, is going to look after you. You want that? Well, already all of the women are looking for that half. So already you'd better get your skates on and figure out what you bring to the table.
Well, I thought this was interesting since we're on the topic. This was unplanned, but I remember this. So Clementine Ford has been on the dating apps and she talks about the dating apps. Now, as someone who has also used them and met my current partner off one, I feel like I'm well versed to talk about dating apps. I've been on and off them since Tinder came out, and I, up until G, had clearly not had success. G is the only successful one. I'd met plenty of people that were nice, but just, no
spark, no.
Yeah, just nice to meet you, thank you, but no.
Yeah.
And I'm not someone that enjoys wasting my time. I've never done the hookup culture thing. I just can't be bothered. And I don't just date someone for a couple of months just to see. I'm like, no, definitely no. Thank you, but bye. So Clementine Ford shares her comments. And look, there's some douchebags on there, 100%.
Absolutely. Of course there are.
I've told the story about the guy I had dated that was engaged and living with the one and had the other. Have I told that story?
No, I don't think you have.
I'll tell it very briefly. I won't tell the full story because it's really messed up. But I met this guy when I was 30 and he was 40. And, so I was a little bit younger and he was very attractive. I thought at the time he was very attractive. And as you do on Bumble, you swipe. I can't remember what it was, Bumble or whatever, one of the two. Swiped on him and then he matched. And I can say this now looking back almost 10 years ago, that I had a rush of endorphins that this very attractive man matched back with me. Made me go, well, maybe I'm attractive because he matched with me. Anyway, and he was weird. He was just very weird. We didn't talk, whatever. But then somehow he found me on Instagram, which was weird because I hadn't linked any of that. right? So you're starting to see straight away. In hindsight, it sounds way worse.
There's red flags. Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, wow, he must have really liked me. Bless younger
He would
Carls.
really like to wear your skin. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
And so then that was actually just about the time I was going overseas, and I think I was in America for like 2 months or something. And I will get to this Clementine plot in a second.
Yeah.
And he would follow me like religiously on social media, watch all my stories. He was always the first one, and he's always at the top. And I was like, wow, this guy really likes me, but he wouldn't message me. Anyway, long story short, this person was actually observing me, learning what I like, what I don't like, what I talk about, what my favorite movie was. And then when we finally went on a date, after about 3 months of this social media watching whatever, and he didn't use social media anywhere near like I did. So I didn't have any context for him apart from a couple of photos. And then we finally go on this date, and it was like, I see this now with much clearer eyes, but he mirrored exactly what I wanted a man to be.
Yeah.
In the way that I was like, holy shit, how do you exist?
Yeah.
Loved the same favorite movie, loved the same things, want the same things out of life. And he happened to be a graphic designer or like a creative director. And so he mirrored this version, and I was like, whoa, I found my person. And then over a course of like months, right, would come into my life, leave my life, come into my life, leave my life, but would still be watching on social media.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned what a narcissist was.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how and you know, I'm happy to say, yeah, I was a victim to this. I did not know what I was up against.
Yeah.
Anyway, over 5 years, this person would step into my life and then piss off again. We never actually were ever together, but we would go on a few dates and then he'd disappear.
Yeah.
But he did just enough to have me on that hook.
Yeah.
Right? And he'd wheel me in, and then he'd come back.
He was breadcrumbing.
100%. That's what it was, breadcrumbing. And it was interesting because he always painted this version of me of like I thought he was just a playboy, not ready to settle down, probably still running around sowing his wild oats, right? And I knew he'd been married before. So I was like, okay, well, he's just rebelling. That's what I told myself. Anyway, long story short, COVID happens. I moved to down Geelong Way, and I don't see or talk to this person for 2 years. Moved back to Melbourne. I joined Bumble, and there he was. And I was like, I wonder. I know everyone's like, you idiot. I agree. But I like to see things through. So swipe and then talk, whatever. Anyway, I knew something was up. But this was the first time he allowed me access to his private, like his own Facebook page. Right. His profile.
Yeah.
I'd only ever had him on Instagram, right? So you can be really select with what you put on Instagram.
Sure. Yeah.
And this person had a very small media, like internet footprint. Whereas, you know, I had a company and I was I had a social media audience. So my stuff was everywhere. Anyway, finally I got his Facebook, and I'm like, this is what I've been looking for 5 years. And I went through every post. I was looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for. I was looking for something.
Are you still sure he was the creeper?
No. I am nothing if not diligent in my research. Anyway, I find this name, this peculiar foreign name that pops up a few times, but like I can't click the link, which tells you that person's been blocked by him. Because normally if they were unblocked, you'd be able to click and go to their profile. I was like, all right, so I copy that name, I put it in there, and I remember it from ages ago for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a woman. And I'm like, I don't know why, I just need to message this woman. And so I do. And I write her a DM, and I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry if this comes out of nowhere, but I just want to ask, how do you know this person? Because this is how I know this person, and I don't think they're telling the truth.
Yeah.
And she writes back within minutes. And she's like, oh, well, that's my fiance. And I was like,
wow.
Okay. And she's like, my ex-fiance.
Okay.
So, and I said, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, you're number 5 now. And I was like, sorry? She's like, yeah, you're the 5th girl that's messaged me in like the last couple of months.
That's just of the ones that have messaged.
So then, this is a good story, guys. I need to make a movie out of this. I'm leaving out a lot of context, but just for the sake of keeping it short. So then we keep talking, and she's like, I'm going to call you. And she's Portuguese. Okay. So she's got like good English, but like there's a few broken things because I was like, oh, what does that mean? So we get on the phone, and we're on the phone for like 3 hours. She had been with him the whole time I had known him. I did not know any of this.
Wow.
There was no way I could have known this. And Everything that he told me was his was actually hers. His dog was her dog. His house was actually her house that she owned, right?
Yeah,
Crazy shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, then the group of 5 of us all get put in this group. We're all in this is every guy's worst enemy.
I'm sure they have made a movie about some scenario exactly like this.
This is like Tinder swindler and like all sorts of things. It gets really dark, and I'm leaving out something that's really important, but I don't want to say that on this podcast because I don't want to get sued by this dickhead. But anyway, I've said all this to his face. But anyway, so in this group of 5 of us, we're all talking about this person, and every single one of us knew a totally different person.
Yeah.
I was like, no, his favorite movie is this. And they're like, no, it's not, Carly, it's this.
So what came to mind when you were sort of setting the scene for the story, you would have seen the movie Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Okay, fabulous film. Now, this is a guy who's reliving the same day over and over again. And there's this girl that he likes that he keeps going on a date with her, or it's not a date. They're basically having a working sort of morning tea or lunch or whatever it was. And over time, he learns more and more about her.
Yeah.
And then he starts to reflect back to her ideals. What social media allows us to do is exactly what happened in Groundhog Day and exactly what happened to you, where people absolutely can become a chameleon. And they absolutely can figure out who you are and reflect to you what you want to see.
Yeah, and to be honest, guys, like I didn't know this. I didn't know this was a thing. And I guess how do you learn this stuff? You go through it. And so as we're all sitting there talking and everyone's trading, and there was 2 girlfriends, or 1 fiance and the recent ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And the other 3 of us were side pieces, or the side chick.
Yeah.
And so of the 3 side chicks, we saw a version of him that was totally different. But then the version that the ones that had been in the relationship saw, I was like, how did you stay with him if it was like that? So deeply insecure. Oh, please don't leave me. I love you, blah, blah. I was like, no, I got like the bravado,
dapper,
like
debonair.
Yeah, like into cars, super masculine, whatever. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, he was role playing.
Yeah, I was like, did this guy have a spreadsheet? Anyway, so lo and behold, we go back a little bit further, and it's a repeating process, and he just got really good at it.
Yeah.
So he'd been doing this since he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
And then he'd get like, I would guess you call it a harem, and somehow do that, and then when that would implode, then find the next one and the next one. And then there was one after us. And I think it got really ugly, and I opted out at that point. I was like, I don't want to know anything about it. Like, go away. Gross. But I don't think people realize that Tinder and Bumble and all that has opened up things like that. So there is a really sinister side of it.
So Clementine Ford, I believe, was the profile you brought up.
That was a good tangent.
Well, that was a hell of a tangent. I've already done the song once. I'm not doing
No,
it.
but I should tell that, like, there's a lot more to that story that I just don't want to say and get myself in trouble. But so look, great, Clementine Ford's on Bumble. There's nothing wrong with this, and I'm not showing these photos to shame you. But this is her at 39. This is her at 41. This is her at 43.
Yeah.
Now, if I pull up a photo of Clementine when she puts herself on her Instagram stories, very different. I'm not going to say anything mean because I know you guys want to like shit on her because, you think she's unattractive. She's put this up on a dating profile. She's smiling. She's got a glowy face. She's put effort into herself. And I would say she's definitely put effort into herself here. She looks quite feminine there. And same there. Look at me, look at my eyes. She is trying to appeal to a man. Right? Yet, Clementine Ford at every opportunity will sit there and say how shit men are, whatever. And I'm like, she doesn't believe half of her shit. She will tell you she does, and she will double down. I am telling you now, if Clementine Ford met the right guy that somehow was able to crack her open and heal whatever that wound is that she has, she would become quite feminine overnight, instantaneous, because she's got it in her. You can tell she likes to, I know she likes to look into skincare and makeup and, dress well. They are all inherently feminine qualities. And you do that for a reason. Yes, you do it for you, but you also do it to attract a mate.
It's the same reason why blokes go to the gym. They think it's going to get girls, and it turns out it actually just gets a bunch of other blokes to stand around them and go, oh, yeah, nice guns, bro. Nice guns. Same as the guys get into cars. Oh, I'm going to pick up chicks. No. You're going to have blokes complimenting you on your car. But this is the thing. Okay, so if Clementine Ford met the right man, then blah, blah, blah. Okay, that might be true, might not. I can't comment. But what I can say from a male perspective is that a man of sufficiently high status that she would be interested in him, he is not going to be interested in her.
Well, she needs a intellectual.
Well, she would need someone intelligent, because I agree. She's not stupid. She is intelligent. She's financially reasonably successful, or at least has been for many years. So she's not a basket case financially. So she's going to look for, again, you've talked about this before, women want to date up. You want the man who's smarter, more successful, higher status, all of that stuff. So think about how small of a dating pool she's already got. If she wants the man who's taller, smarter, bigger bank account, higher status, well, she's already narrowed that down to less than 1% of the male population in Australia as it is. And this is the most desirable 1% of the male population in Australia, who don't need her money or her status or her social media following. They don't need any of the things that she's built. We've talked about this before. A high status man does not need the things that a high status woman thinks make her high status.
Yeah.
Okay, what a high status man actually wants is a woman that is going to turn his house into a home.
Yes.
That is going to make his life warmer and softer and more welcoming.
Yeah.
That is going to mother his children because he feels a little bit guilty about the fact that he's super busy and he's not going to be at home as much as he knows he really should be. That's what a high status, high powered, high value man actually wants, is someone who complements his life. Unfortunately, feminists have come to believe, the ones that actually want a man in the first place, have come to believe that you increase your value to men by competing with them. You succeed in the areas where men are driven to succeed.
Yeah.
And that makes you a competitor, not a complement.
Well, I'd argue this as well. This is, G's going to hate me bringing this up. So ages ago, Clementine Ford and Abby went through a phase of highly promoting sex toys, right? So, you know, they obviously got paid money for this. These are sponsorships.
Yeah.
And I have no issue, like, you do you, man.
No one has ever offered me a dildo deal.
Really? I got offered one.
Did you?
Yeah, but I had to take a selfie with it, like, beside my face. And I was like, I'm not going to do that, thanks. And look, you know, you do whatever you need to do. I'm not. This is not about shaming people with sex toys, but this is what they put out there. You don't need a man, right? You know, you use all your sex toys. And then she puts down, you know, photos of her washing them and things like that. There are things that we just don't need to know about each other. There really is. And if you're a public, you've got a public profile, and this is what you put on the internet. This is what people can find about you. This is not the stuff that we need to be advertising. And then, of course, you had Abby, who, you know, she sells the dildos and all the things, right? And she talks about her sex all the time. She wrote a comment in here. I'm like, this is what feminism's doing to women. So if I'm having sex with someone and I'm not dating them, I really don't care what they think if I stop halfway, though, and pleasures herself. Go to sleep, or I'll get my womanizer out. She's referring to one of her favorite vibrators. When I go out and meet someone, I'll talk to them for 25 minutes and then I'm like, do you want to go home and have sex or not? That is what feminism has done to women. Everything is transactional. Everything is nonchalant, no connection. And I would argue that has been the worst thing that's happened to women.
Well, I don't disagree. I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing, but it's certainly not one of the good ones. But I need a new song. I'm not going to write one right now because I'm just not in that right creative frame of mind. But I need like a hypocrite alert song. Because you just used the phrase, there are some things we don't need to know about you, having just spent part of this podcast talking about contraceptive pills and your period.
I didn't talk about mine specifically.
I'm just going to say.
No. I'm going to hold you to that. I did not talk about mine. I did not say anything personal about myself, apart from that I don't use it.
Well, and the fact that you started when you were 15 and various.
No, I said they offer it to you in 15. Yeah. No. Like every man, you've gotten so uncomfortable. You're like, how do I get out of this? I'm so uncomfortable now.
Well, I was.
You have 2 daughters.
I was praying that the earth would open up beneath my chair and swallow me, and unfortunately, it didn't.
You have 2 daughters. This is a thing.
I have already made a deal with my wife. I also have a son. I will have those conversations with my son.
When do you have the birds and the bees
conversation? She will have those conversations with our daughters. Look, it's tricky. So we've actually had to start asking ourselves that question. So my oldest is 9.
9? Is he 9?
Yeah.
Gosh, time flies.
So we're told. So we've been talking to people that do this stuff and know this stuff and teach in schools and all the rest of it. As a general rule, boys take a bit longer. You can wait till they're a little bit older.
Okay.
Than with girls. I'm only repeating what I'm being told here, but with girls, so I'm told you want to get onto it a little bit earlier with them.
Yeah.
And obviously their body changes can be quite dramatic.
Yes.
You know, all of a sudden there's a thing happening that
young
never
girls
happened before.
are hitting puberty really young now.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And so you want to make sure that they feel supported and they have age appropriate levels of understanding of what's happening to their bodies. Boys, for most boys, it's a much more gradual thing and it's less demonstrative, it's less dramatic. But also, you know, that brain development aspect of it, the current wisdom seems to be that boys, you know, develop that a little bit later in some important sort of cognitive ways, blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm not the expert. I'm just repeating what I'm told. So we're keeping an eye on it. And because I have two daughters as well as a son, obviously there's that little antenna in the back of my brain of, okay, I mean, you know, Winston now has his own room. He doesn't share a bedroom with the girls. And the girls are sometimes like, oh, but we want Winston to sleep on the trundle bed in here because they like having the extra person in the room. It's kind of like, no, Winston's going to sleep in his own room, you know, and just sort of starting to draw separations. And, you know, when they were really little, Winston would have a shower in the shower in the bathroom while the girls were having a bath in the bath and all that was fine. Now Winston goes in and has a shower in the other bathroom completely separate. And, you know, you start to draw these boundaries as you, because we don't know when that awareness is going to kick in, but at some point it will. And yeah, so as a parent, you do have to kind of think about it.
Well, I thought this would be a good segue into the social media ban because that's something that I'm shocked by because I always try and bring it back to myself and when I was young and like the internet was obviously around and I was looking at rotten.com at 10 because my brother had shown it to me. My brother's 4 or 5 years older than me, so he was already well into his teens. And so just via proximity, I was exposed to things and I learned about sex like, you know, I want to say like 9 or 10. That's when I was aware that you did sex for fun. It wasn't just, you know, mummy and daddy love each other.
Yeah.
And so, you know, then I went to a Catholic school, so our sex education was like almost nothing.
Yeah.
But you think about now, kids now can see full-blown like explicit porn.
Yeah, it's all there.
Like,
and this is the hypocrisy of the under-16s ban is it does nothing to touch the actual pornography websites. They're completely untouched. It's purely social media. So it to say that it's about protecting children is utter tosh. However, just 2 days ago now, I think it was, the final guidelines were released. And this is hilarious to me. So I've been saying all the way through that the e-safety commissioner is setting herself up to end up in a lawsuit with the American government, and that is not going to go well for her. That is not going to be fun.
She's lost all of them so far, hasn't she?
She's lost every case. As far as I'm aware, she's lost every court case so far, and she's losing a bunch of stuff in the tribunal as well. Now, the reason why she's set herself up for a court case is that she's gone out and said social media platforms have to keep under 16s off their platform, otherwise they're in breach. But all we're going to say is they have to take reasonable steps. Now, there is a defensible argument there to say, well, if she was too prescriptive about how they were supposed to do it, well, then the regulations would date very quickly as technology changes and circumstances change, and the same set of regs might not apply to every platform. So there is a defensible argument for why you would keep the regulations relatively vague. But there is also no threshold or standard for how accurate they need to be. How many times can they be found to have allowed a 16-year-old to continue or a 15-year-old to continue on their platform before they're in breach? But there is no standard.
Aside from government-issued ID, which I know that's the whole thing, but also, like, have you looked at 16-year-olds these days?
Yeah. It's and makeup and face-changing filters and all kinds of, like honestly. So, but the point here, though, is as a result of the way that she's written her regulations, the social media companies are aiming at a target that they can't see. And so they can take reasonable steps. Now, what was good about the announcement that came out 2 days ago was the government has clarified that they're not going to be imposing universal age verification. They are going to allow the social media platforms to verify a whole bunch of accounts as being over the age of 16 using completely non-invasive measures. Now, they didn't specify those completely, but some of the ones that are talked about and will be used is things like on YouTube, I made my account in 2009. They're going to tick me off as being over 16 years of age. You know, if you're talking political commentary and blah, 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 well, AI is very quickly going to go, probably not 14. You know, probably not 15. So there's a bunch of ways that they can do that. And the Australian government have basically given them the green light to do a bunch of that. So the vast majority of people will not notice when this comes in on December 10th. That's the good news out of all of this. However, the e-safety commissioner is inevitably going to go to one of these platforms at some point in time and say, you're not doing enough. You're not taking reasonable steps. Because that's literally,
Wasn't there like a $50 million fine that she's threatening?
49.5. Don't overstate it. Sorry, it's only $49.5 million. Let's not get into hype here. We want to be factual. You're out by $500,000. That's a lot of money. So sooner or later, the E-Safety Commission is going to go to YouTube or Google or Meta or one of these and say, you're not doing enough. You're not taking reasonable steps.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, well, actually, we think we are. The only way forward from there is a lawsuit for the E-Safety Commissioner to take them to court and say, we're going to make you take reasonable steps. The minute she does that, if she's dumb enough to do that, the minute she does that, I believe Donald Trump will get involved personally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a big call because the President of the United States is a busy guy. There's a lot going on. But Donald Trump has gotten personally involved in a showdown with the UK government over their requirement that Apple give them access to their encryption. Now, we've covered that before. I've done multiple videos on it. I've actually got another one coming out today. I think my main video that just went up earlier today, actually. If people go onto Topher Field on YouTube, you'll find that. So very briefly, in the UK government said, Apple, you have to give us a backdoor into your encryption. And there's a gag order. You can't talk about it. You can't tell anyone, and journalists can't talk about the fact that we're doing this. Apple instead said, well, actually, we're going to withdraw encryption from the UK market so that we don't have to give you a backdoor. And then when they withdrew that, some journalists in the US went, hang on, what's going on over here? They investigated, they figured it out. And because they were American journalists covered under the First Amendment, they didn't have to comply with the gag order.
Right.
So they published that in the Washington Post in February of this year, and it went viral from there because it's a pretty big scandal. Apparently Donald Trump was pretty irate.
Yep.
And then we really heard nothing for a while until it was about a month ago. We all of a sudden, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. So keep in mind, February of this year was a month into Donald Trump's new term, right? So this is relatively new as his second term president. So the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, tweeted about a month ago or 3 weeks ago or something that the UK are now going to allow Apple are going to reintroduce their encryption offering because the UK are withdrawing their requirement for a backdoor because of her work. And she specifically then says the personal involvement of President Trump and Vice President Vance.
Yep.
We also know that during that period of time, they had a bunch of heated meetings with Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, where Keir Starmer now infamously said, we're very proud of our history of free speech, blah, blah, blah. And Vice President Vance said, yeah, well, we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah. Sorry.
So we know that free speech has been at the centre of some conflict between the UK government and the US government. And ultimately, it was the pressure from President Trump that forced the UK government to back down over a backdoor into Apple's encryption. So if the E-Safety Commissioner is dumb enough to have our under 16 social media ban negatively affect either US citizens and their First Amendment rights or US tech companies, which Donald Trump is showing himself to be very willing to defend, she will find herself going toe-to-toe with him personally, and that will be hilarious.
What I don't understand, I know that Scott Morrison put her in there, but how did she get so much power? And why are we bending the knee to this person that was not elected and we have no say over? We didn't agree to it. But I found this the other day, and this is old news, you all would have seen this, but I thought it was interesting as we're discussing the left and their reaction to murder and, they're trying to say it's not our rhetoric, it's all Republicans. Like, people go, where does this start? I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, this shit has been going on.
Behar, yeah.
No, that's Kathy Griffin.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The comedian. And for those of you who are listening, Kathy Griffin with the bloodied Donald Trump head.
Yeah.
And this is what that party is like. These are these people. They think that's fun. It's mocking. It's humor. It's comedy.
Yeah.
And then when someone gets shot, they're like, "Oh no, like we're not like that."
That was all you. That was you.
It was your rhetoric.
Yeah, correct.
I just remember that,
and that's why I've reacted the way I have to what Friendly Geordie said, because in my opinion, he's continuing to preach out of that. Playbook.
Yeah, that's a good way of taking it.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on this, but quickly, the Teal MP Zali Steagall.
Yeah, so this is her liking a post that was basically mocking the shooting of Donald Trump.
No, it was condoning political violence.
That's right, it was. Yes. So I've seen so many things over the last couple of weeks that they all get muddled up.
To bring you guys up to speed, this is the Daily Mail article. So this is Zali Steagall. Sorry, she is a Teal MP, I believe, in New South Wales. I don't know. She's not Victorian.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure.
Anyway, so what she did was liked a post by Cheek Media, who's led by Hannah Ferguson, who's a progressive left feminist type. And
are they Australian or US based?
She's Australian. She was in that panel with Joel Jamal, Abby Chatfield, punters. She was the
That's
other
why
girl.
I know the name. Yeah.
And so she Hannah Ferguson penned this post on Instagram that basically, to summarize, was talking about how should progressives react to the Charlie Kirk death, and is it right to laugh at it? Is it non? And she was trying to have this like moral intellectual argument. Anyway, one of the comments she wrote in the Hannah Ferguson wrote was, "Is this act of political violence an act of progress? No. Do I understand that and respect many of the progressives who disagree with me? Yes. Is political violence sometimes necessary?" Hannah wrote yes. And Zali Steagall has liked it. Now, rightfully so. She's a sitting MP and she's liked a post that's saying that, yes, political violence is necessary. And so, anyway, this went viral. She's been called out for it and she's issued a statement. And I want to read the statement because you want to talk about the Friendly Geordies thing. This is a perfect example.
Yeah.
So, political violence is never the answer.
Well, that's not what the post you liked said.
Correct. Let me be clear. I do not and have not condoned the horrific political violence that has occurred in the US as a result of the death of Charlie Kirk. This is an horrific act. Whilst I respect Hannah from Cheek Media for trying to have a discussion about the conflicting realities occurring in the US, I originally liked her post because it is important to understand and discuss the dangerous polarization occurring online due to the algorithms and clickbait media. However, I do not agree with or endorse everything Hannah has written. Whilst liking does not equal endorsement, for the avoidance of doubt, I have chosen to unlike the post. First thing,
well, liking does equal endorsement. That's literally
liking
what it's
is
for.
literally an endorsement.
Yeah,
but
that's
okay,
what it's for. Yeah.
I'm glad you picked up on that. In typical fashion, Advance Australia has sought to collectively reflect their the post in their
To selectively report.
Sorry, so to selectively report the post in their ad to stoke outrage and division. Advance Australia is a dangerous organisation with deep US right-wing conservative roots seeking to influence Australian politics. Can you spot it?
Oh, yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
The hypocrisy, the dangerous polarization occurring, and then goes on to write a dangerously polarizing comment.
And so let me write in advance what she would say should, let's say, someone from Advance Australia be a victim of political violence. Well, I don't condone political violence, but we do know that Advance Australia had links with, deep links with right-wing extremism out of the US, and they've brought American levels of violence to Australian politics, blah, blah, blah. This is literally laying the groundwork. This is exactly what we've been talking about. They say afterwards all the right things, but never acknowledge that they said the things that laid the groundwork for it, and here she's actually laying the groundwork for that violence to come to Australia.
I've just got to ask the obvious question here. How can people not see this? It's written right there. It's dangerous polarization as she dangerously polarizes people.
Most people will never ever read this.
Yeah.
Most people, if they are even aware of it, they will read either a Daily Mail article about how they should be outraged about it, or they will read a Crikey article about how they should be outraged that the Daily Mail misrepresented it.
Yeah.
Right. That's about it. And they'll read maybe the headline and first paragraph of those articles and then move on.
Yeah. Oh, it's just infuriating. Yeah. Those are the things that boil my blood. And then someone's found out that she's got like a painting of herself hanging up in the wall and whatever. I'm like, okay, you cannot like that. Yeah. But at the same time, you're kind of taking the heat off where we should be talking.
Yeah, correct.
This is where we should be talking. Like, who gives a shit what she's got hanging up in her office? Yeah. But, that's, just for the reference, that's it there because everyone's talking about it.
Who cares?
I want to now contrast over to this. I am seeing a lot of this going around. So the article is from the Herald Sun. It says, let's bring back the 1990s era uni culture of pub crawls and pranks. Yeah. Well, maybe not the $5 chuck in brackets. And so what they're talking about is the demise of in-person learning has killed off the old uni student culture of pub crawls and pranks. And that's a terrible loss for today's teenagers. And this article is actually pretty poignant because I've been talking to some people at my uni and they don't do anything. They don't go out. Yeah. They don't party. And I've never been a big partier, but I do believe as a young person, you need to blow off steam. You need to have fun. Yeah. And these kids don't club. They don't go out. They don't dance till, their feet are hurting.
So can I get a little bit boring and academic on this assertion that young people need to get out and have fun? Because it is actually, there are really good reasons why that is actually true. The value of a new experience, a new skill diminishes over time. The later in life, the older you are when you learn a new skill, the less value it has for you because you have less time to enjoy it. You have less time to develop it, to become proficient at it. If you learn something new and discover something new when you're younger, that could become your career. That could become the thing that you are known for, that you build a life out of. If you learn that when you're 70, well, you might enjoy it, but you're very unlikely to become a master of it. So there is actually a really good logical developmental reason why it is beneficial to society for young people to blow off steam, to be exploratory, to get out and try new things just literally for the sake of it. This is also why, as we get older, we tend to, when we holiday, we go back to the place that we liked. Whereas when we're younger, we're always, oh no, I've been there before, I want to go somewhere new. That psychological shift is a unspoken recognition, a subconscious recognition of these diminishing returns on the new. We try something new when we're older, our returns on that new thing diminish. When we try new things when we're younger, well, that could be the discovery that changes our entire life. And so there is actually good reason why young people need to get out there, blow off steam, do crazy things. But I'm going to say the demise of in-person learning is a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think equally big, the other elephant in the room is the cost of going out now.
Yeah.
You're paying $8, $9 for a pot. You're paying $14 for a pint. Who can afford to go out?
I'd also argue, yes, that's all true, but then there's the culture itself has declined. You know, like there's a reason why millennial core nostalgia is trending at the moment. And people are going back to those like...
Including the Oddcast merch, by the way.
Correct. But like there's a reason, because it was a genuinely good time. And it's so funny because we were talking about this, you know, you can remember rap songs from Eminem word for word. Yeah. But, you know, you can't remember the person you spoke to on the phone the other day. Yeah. And there's a song, I think it's Shake That by Eminem. And it's like, was my party song. Right. Every time that came on, I was like, let's go. It's my song. Anyway, and I was rapping about things I knew nothing about. I didn't know what Hennessy was back then, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. And, you know, we're out partying and having fun, and it was innocent. We didn't have our phones. We weren't we had little pocket cameras. Yeah. And you go out, and you take all these photos, upload the whole gallery to Facebook.
And then it goes back into your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were there, you were present. And actually, this was a big part of a study I read. They were talking about how Gen Z is overly polished. So like when we used to club, and remember I had a very small stint of clubbing, so I don't really know much about it. But I went to university in Warrnambool, so country town. Yep. And so we would get ready at someone's house and have pre-drinks because it was cheaper. Yep. And so we'd get a box of Fruit Lexia and we'd mix it with some, we were classy. Oh. Then we bought in bulk. Ooh, and if you're lucky, someone had like a half a bottle of vodka somewhere, and you pour that in.
Did you get a loyalty card from your local 7-Eleven where you were buying that stuff from under the counter? Yeah.
It's a great way to get drunk real quick.
Oh my goodness!
Pay Goon a fortune. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
It's so funny saying this now because
talk about a drinking game,
right?
Oh my goodness!
And you put the goon bag on the old what's it called? The washing line.
The Hills Hoist.
The Hills Hoist.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, did all that. I've lived a youth. Anyway, the idea of drinking goon now, I can smell it.
Yeah.
It's like Midori. If I even look at Midori, I'm like I can't. I'll vomit. But anyway. And we go out and you know, you put your makeup on and wear your jeans and a nice top or whatever it is that we used to wear back then. And then you go out, you get so sweaty. Yeah. It was dark in there and you didn't care. Like your makeup's probably halfway down your face. Your hair's everywhere. You're dripping with sweat because you're all in there dancing. And that was back when you could smoke in clubs. Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't condone smoking, but I actually think you need to bring the smoking back in because the smell otherwise is horrific.
Yeah, the smell of stale alcohol and
vomit and sweat. The smoking was needed. Bring it back. Yeah. You know, you go to bed that night and you wake up in the morning, you're like,
people are going to clip this and quote you out of context in coming decades.
Do it. It's funny.
Carly Soderstrom wants young people to die of emphysema.
Yes, that's exactly what she wants. I'm a terrible person. That's all right. Everyone already knows that I'm terrible. Yeah. So I'm just preaching to the choir. But no, you didn't care. And then at 3 a.m., whenever you left the club, you'd go get some chips and gravy or a Jaffle or Macca's if you could. And that was it. That was your night. Yeah. And, you know.
Or a kebab.
Or a kebab.
Kebab o'clock. 2 o'clock is kebab o'clock.
We didn't have kebabs in Warrnambool. We had the courthouse kitchen was chips and gravy. And there's something about that kind of food at 3 a.m. There's a level of taste that's just like, It's not the same at 12 o'clock.
Well, you need the grease and oil change after all the alcohol.
You do. You need to start absorbing it from your body. But this is the thing. We had memories that I guess you romanticize.
Sure.
You didn't document them. So you didn't have that, no, actually you did this. It's like, oh my God. And then you went over to such and such and didn't you kiss him? And then you had a spew in the bushes. Like they were funny. It became sort of like folklore.
And that is a rite of passage to have those experiences. But if we're serious about bringing it back, there have been a couple of different political parties now that have gotten behind the idea of removing alcohol excise for alcohol that is sold and consumed in open containers on premises.
Yeah.
So, i.e. tap beer,
Yeah.
right? Or bottles that are consumed on premises. And I think that's a fabulous idea. I mean, I'm in favour of tax reductions, full stop.
Across the board,
Any which way we can make it happen, let's do it. But this is a particularly good one, in my opinion, because number one, they still have responsible service of alcohol requirements anyway. So these are the best places for people to be drinking.
Yeah.
People say, oh, well, if we take all the excise off alcohol, then the people will buy more and go and binge drink. Well, they can't binge drink at a licensed venue, right? They're very monitored and
But
watched.
I hate that argument. The more you say to a young person you shouldn't do it, the more they do it.
The more they want to.
I'm a really good example of that. Sorry to cut you off, but my parents were very open with alcohol. Like we had not a bar, but like a cabinet of all the, top shelf booze. And so you can make cocktails. And I was watching Sex and the City and whatever else was trending at the time. And my mum's like, well, if you want to make one here, make one with us. Yeah. So I went through this phase of being obsessed with learning to make cocktails. Yeah. And to be honest, most of them tasted like battery acid. But occasionally you'd make like a Toblerone or a fruit tingle or something like that was sweet enough that you're like, oh, that went down really well.
I used to do shots. I used to mix shots and try and get the layers and all that stuff. Yeah.
And so because my parents were open with it, it never felt, not once did alcohol feel taboo to me.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason, I never was a big drinker and I've never really liked it. I don't like that feeling of being drunk. We're contrasting to my girlfriend growing up. Her parents were incredibly strict.
Yeah.
And they had no idea. Her daughter was the one that always blacked out.
Yeah.
She was always the one that's like, oh, that's her again.
Yeah.
Just went to the wall, smoked cigarettes every day, like a pack a day. Was promiscuous, the whole thing. But her parents had no idea. And I'm like, but I think there's something to be spoken about. Yeah, of course you don't want your kids binge drinking crazily, but if you tell them it's terrible, they're going to do it anyway.
This is what I've said for many, many years. Give your children a context for healthy use of these things. Let them understand what a healthy sex life is, what healthy consumption of alcohol is. In my case, I find cigars are very, very good for my mental health.
Yeah.
So I try and model that of I'm not sucking them down constantly. I'm enjoying them and appreciating them in a context where they, in my opinion, the net result is that they do me good. They're doing my body harm.
You're also an adult.
My brain good.
You're allowed to make that decision.
But back to the alcohol excise, venues are struggling. Mm-hmm. Pubs are struggling. Clubs and we talk about the death of music culture. There aren't pubs for bands to go and play in. There aren't pubs for young people to go and hang out in. Well, yeah, because it's so damned expensive. We talked before about how expensive it is to have breakfast. Well, that's obviously bad for cafes, but you make it expensive to have a beer, and that money's not going to the venue; it's going to the government.
Yeah,
it's a total loss as far as everyone inside that venue is concerned, and so we lose the entire culture that goes with it. But then add to that the red tape and the bureaucracy that is added to the service and consumption of alcohol. If I'm on one corner at a pub and I've got a beer in my hand and I see a mate who's got a beer in his hand in the forecourt of a pub across the intersection, I would be breaking the law if I took my beer with me and walked across to chat with my mate. Now, there are places in Europe where you bring your bottles of wine and go and sit and have a picnic and you walk around with an open bottle or a glass of wine in your hand. No one's going to bat an eyelid. Yeah. The idea that we have this culture of, alcohol is so, they have these signs, no alcohol past this point. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Some bureaucrat is jerking off into it.
Some stupid idiot once did a naughty thing, so therefore it ruined it for everyone. That's usually what it was.
Because a bureaucrat can imagine that some stupid idiot might one day do a stupid thing.
But isn't that Australia? We are a nanny state. People say this all the time, but it's like, for the children, the safety. I'm so sick of hearing that. Like, I think we talked about this. I'm sort of jumping all over, but I think that's a good point. You know how we watched that lawn guy and he went and cleaned up the median strip?
Yeah.
And so you know how I did the video about the burnout car?
Yeah.
On the very same intersection, there's it's a T intersection and it's quite a busy road, and I think all cars each direction are going 80 Ks.
Yeah.
but there is a pedestrian crossing the whole way through. But on the
that creates little islands.
Yeah,
around
on
the place.
all the islands, the weeds are up to your knees.
Yeah.
Across all of it. So if you're on a bike or something, you're now traversing like overgrown weeds and all sorts of stuff. And then there's rubbish, right? Because the wind blows around and it gets caught up in the weeds. And I was looking at it going, this is literally the council's job. They have one job, and that is to keep the sidewalks like free of debris and also make them look nicer. Yeah. And they're not doing that. But I can tell you now that we definitely have an LGBT flag flying in front.
Yeah, exactly.
And
but
sorry, go.
The response to your video would have been, but they have to have all the occupational health
and that was going to be my comment
Yeah.
because we saw the lawn guy do it in an hour.
Yeah.
And we know from the comments, that's not safe. You'll get hit by a car.
Correct.
So you got to slow everyone down to 40 kilometers an hour, have
And
6 people
this
on
is
site.
why I've done some of the videos that I've done, despite knowing that it's going to really upset some very, very stupid people.
I think you need to upset the stupid people. I'm sick of trying to not offend the stupid people.
So, I mean, I'm with you. That's why I make the videos I do. Sorry, the road toll is necessary.
Yeah.
Right? This objective, we're going to get the road toll down to zero. No, we're not. We never will.
Isn't that the same argument Charlie Kirk made about guns?
Correct. It is. It is exactly this. And it is completely rational. Nothing in life is risk-free. And if you try... So it's the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
We can make cars safer easily. We can't make cars safe easily. There is a level of effort required and a cost that comes with it. And I'm not just talking in dollars. I'm talking in your ability to actually live and get anything done in your life and do the things that you want to do with your life diminishes rapidly as you start to try and get down to zero.
On that point about making cars safer, I would say the cars are getting safer, but you're making the drivers worse.
And the roads right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, this happens to me all the time. I swear to God, it's because my car's blue. I don't know whether people, it's like they don't see me. It's big, it's friggin' blue. And I'm a bit higher, so I can actually see when people start to converge into my lane or whatever. And I'm now quite sort of
defensive?
Yeah, a little bit highly strung. I'm like, oh shit, because I can just see they're not paying attention and they're swerving or whatnot. Yeah. And even the other day, where was I going? I was going to get the post office, I think, and I'm in an industrial area, so I think I was doing 50. It wasn't fast, but I'm on the road, right, going straight, and then there's a person who's trying to get on across me to the other side of the road, right? But I had right away. So I'm coming. I'm bright friggin' blue. You can see me. I'm going 50 k's an hour. And this person, literally when I'm about 20 meters from her little intersection, she decides, I'm going to pull into the intersection, knowing full well that you're coming. And then also there's a truck coming.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to stop.
I'm going to block you, wait for the truck to go so I can cross the thing. And so rightfully so, I've tooted the crap out of her. And she's like, what? What's your problem? I'm like, are you insane?
Yeah, do you want to get hit?
Are you insane right now? And this is the daily drivings of cars. It's so bad. Even in the supermarket, this is my favorite one. And I love observing this seemingly normal behavior. I'm in the car park. Again, I'm reversing. My reverse lights are on. Big car. Reversing. You can see it. That's the time most people think you should walk behind the car without fail, or the car opposite you goes, oh yeah, I'll start reversing now too. Yeah. Is anyone looking?
I've got a bit more patience for the other car because sometimes it is, not every car has a reversing camera, all that stuff. But yeah, people walking directly behind you. Yeah. just stop for 2 seconds.
Literally as I'm rolling, not just, I'm going to walk now. No. The car's moving. Yeah. I'll keep walking. You'll stop.
I mean, this is the whole remove all the warning labels and just let nature sort it out. But there is a simple reality that there comes a point where trying to save lives kills people.
Yes.
And to go back to the traffic thing, we could stop the road toll instantly by abolishing all vehicles.
Yes.
So we're all back on bicycles. Okay, so the road toll drops to zero. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't, because people fall off their bicycles and die. People trip over and die when they're walking. And by the way, the cost of all of your food, your clothing, your energy, everything has just gone through the roof. So your quality of life drops, your nutrition drops, your working hours increase, and now you're going to die 10 years younger because you couldn't afford the medical care, the nutrition, the interventions, the various things, because society as a whole just got a lot poorer.
Yeah.
So we've saved lives on the road, and now life expectancy drops from 85 to 75.
Yeah.
Right? There comes a point where saving lives kills people. But because it kills people in a different category, they're listed under a different number, bureaucrats get rewarded for being myopic about just their particular column, right? We're going to fix this. Doesn't matter what happens to that. And this is where politicians, and if politicians won't do it, society at large has to step in and go, no, just because you're responsible for one KPI doesn't get you to play God.
Yeah.
We saw this during COVID. COVID deaths, we're gonna have zero COVID deaths. Doesn't matter how many people kill themselves or die from any one of a number of other things. They don't matter. We're just going to focus myopically on this one thing. And so that's why I do my videos saying, yeah, people need to die on the road. Sorry, I don't celebrate that. I don't think it's a good thing. Yes, I have lost. People say, oh, well, you haven't lost a loved one. Yes, I have. I've lost 4 friends and a cousin to vehicle accidents. The cousin was off-road on a motorbike. The 4 friends were in 2 separate vehicle accidents where 2 were killed in each accident. You know, I know what that phone call feels like, and I never want to have another one. But I've also seen what poverty looks like, and I never want to live in that place. The reality is that the things that help us to live better, more prosperous lives, and therefore live longer and healthier for longer, carry some risk. They always have, and they always will. And there is a law of diminishing returns that says if you try and get something like the road toll down to 0, alcohol deaths down to 0, any of these things down to 0, you will kill people in other ways.
Well, it's just the law of the jungle too. Not everyone survives. And you see this, you know, when you're watching like a David Attenborough and you see like, you know, the old lion who can't run anymore, so he's about to die, and everyone's like, why didn't the cameraman do something? I'm like, well, hello, circle of life.
Yeah.
Or,
the hyenas get lunch. Like, sorry.
Yeah, or, you know, the horrible, I hate seeing elephants get hurt, but like an elephant gets stuck in the mud and can't get out and then dies with the calf or whatever. Like, tragic.
Yeah.
But this
also
is life.
Reality. And also, if you watch enough nature documentaries, most people, I would hope, would sooner or later have the epiphany, hang on, I've watched documentaries from the rabbit's point of view where I'm hoping the rabbit gets away from the fox. And now I'm watching a documentary from the wolf's point of view, hoping that the pack manages to get that antelope or whatever it is that they're
so they can eat.
I'm like, oh, hang on. I'm literally just championing and cheering for the person that the cameraman told me or the director told me to cheer for.
Yeah.
Maybe when I was watching the rabbit run away, I should have been cheering for the fox because the fox was hungry. Or maybe I shouldn't be cheering for the wolf pack when they're hunting. Like, hang on, but this is life. This is how it works.
And people think you're callous when you say that, and particularly with people. Like, you know, every time someone gets, you know, tragically taken by a shark, I'm like, oh, well, do you do the risks? I had exactly that conversation. A guy approached me, wanted me to do a video about shark nets and shark mitigation up and down the coast of Australia. I'm like, well, look, that's not the stuff I really do. I don't sort of do documentaries on that sort of stuff. And we had a bit of a discussion. And I said, look, ultimately, actually, philosophically, I'm not really on board the whole project. Yeah.
Right. Like, okay. I mean, deal with problem sharks if there's in the same way that we deal with problem alligators or, you know, problem dogs or these sorts of things. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. But ultimately, I mean, I used to ride motorbikes a lot. And some of the guys that I used to ride with in some of the larger groups, a few of them were killed. Yeah. You know, we all had crashes, some more serious than others, and a few of them died. And you go, well, I knew that going in. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, so you don't like the fact that, you know, potentially you could get bitten by a shark, so therefore we cull all the sharks? Well, no, they wanted a whole bunch of money to get spent on. But like that's the thing. So like that's the mindset when someone gets taken by a shark, they want to go find that specific shark and kill it. And usually it's the wrong shark and they kill a different shark. I'm like, but this is the known risk. If you're going to go into the open ocean knowing full well that that's where great whites hang out, well... A lot of sharks are tagged and they can look at the tags and see, they, you know, at times they can be quite confident that they've got the right one. But at times that wouldn't be the case. But I want to come back to alcohol for another moment because the other layer that we haven't touched on yet is that a lot of these things that get demonized have upsides, right? Alcohol has an upside. We talk about, you know, the downsides of alcohol. Babies happen. Well, babies happen. Relationships happen. Yeah. Conversations happen. Yeah. You know, even in the Bible, it says, you know, give strong drink to one who is grieving so that they will drink and forget their sorrows. It's funny you say that because literally we were at a wedding last night and people were grieving and drinking hard? No. There was a great DJ. He was really good. He was playing like good songs. Yeah. And, you know, I was like, this used to be a lot easier when I was drunk, getting up there and, you know, like I was a lot stiffer this time. I was like, you know, I just don't have the same courage I used to. Yep. Alcohol comes as a part of the fermentation process as well. It occurs naturally as part of that process. Fermented foods are tremendously good for you. Yeah. Wines can be tremendously good for certain aspects of your health. Now, it shouldn't be the only thing you drink, but it doesn't mean that every single mouthful you have is some terrible travesty. And so we don't count the upsides of a lot of these things. I would argue that cigars have a very significant upside for my mental health, even whilst they are, I admit, damaging my physical health, my lungs, etc. to a degree that I think my body can deal with just fine, but that's by the by. There are upsides on these things. Going faster in the car has an upside. That's why we do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it because we want to get there faster. Sometimes we do it just because we like this bit of road and it's kind of fun. We like it. And that's like, why else are we living except to actually be able to experience and enjoy what life is?
Yeah.
So all of these things that they're browbeating and they're stamping out, they're counting every single cost that they can possibly add in, they're throwing in. And they're negating and denying all of the upsides and all of the benefits and the reasons why we do these things in the first place. And then they're pretending that trying to get to some absolute zero harm is this noble cause that no one in their right mind, no good intentioned person could possibly object to zero road toll.
Yeah.
And through that mechanism, they then seize complete power. All the budget they want, all the micromanagement and regulation they want. Bureaucrats build entire careers. Political parties go on campaigns and get elected, chasing impossible targets for something which actually they've portrayed to be a pure evil, but is actually an on-balance thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing's deceptive.
It is. Off topic, I just saw this pop up on X and I thought this might be worth watching. Tyler James Robinson speaks for the first time. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin finally opens his mouth in court, and for the first time we hear his middle name. What do you hear in his voice? So I do believe they're seeking the death penalty, and is this an arraignment hearing? Is that what they call it?
I don't know. I don't know where that's up to.
I'm going to play this.
Polling case 25.
Tyler James Robinson.
Polling case 251403576. State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
So, Mr. Robinson, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court can appoint an attorney to represent you under Rule 8B and Rule 8C for a counsel appointment in a case where death may be a sentencing option. I'm ordering that those declarations be filed prior to the next hearing date, which is set for September 29th. At 10 a.m. Mr. Robinson, I also wish to inform you of your right against self-incrimination. Anything that you say in court today could be used against you, and we want to protect your constitutional rights. Mr. Robinson, at this time, you will remain in custody without bail.
Tyler James Robinson.
Did you see his eyes change when he said death might be a sentencing?
I didn't, no. I wasn't looking at that, but... it's a bit further in.
Here we go.
He must have known.
Watch his eyes.
For a counsel appointment in a case where death may be a sentencing option.
You can see his eyes just go.
Yeah. You've got a closer screen than what I do. So anyway, he would have to have known. He shot a bloke in cold blood inside of Utah. Like, of course, the death penalty is going to be on the table. It's a Luigi Mangione situation all over again, where people have made him, turned him into a folk hero and done all that sort of stuff with him. I get really torn, because these are moments where I'm like, do we plaster every moment of his court case all over the media, or do we just black hole him?
You know what? I've had this conversation a few times in recent weeks. Because, it's the same thing about, not saying that Abby Chatfield is as bad as this guy, but like people argue, the more you talk about it, the more you platform.
The more oxygen, and which is true.
And yes, I agree. But then I would also argue when you don't put sunlight on black mold, it festers and infiltrates everything. Yeah. So I actually can't answer that question.
Yeah, and neither can I. I don't jump in the comments, everyone. Let us know. Like, what do we do? I mean, we are podcasters. We don't have a big audience at the moment, but it's growing. This is a live question for us. What do we do in situations like this?
Because I would argue that in our haste to just, these people are idiots, so ignore them, dust it all off. These people then grow up to be quite radical. And now with the internet, they have access to communities of like mind where they wouldn't have access. And then those people that we ignore in the physical world, it's like, oh, don't worry about them. They're actually getting even more radicalized in these online forums.
Yeah, and look, I've actually got a lot of sympathy for online forums giving people a home. For example, I'm really nerdy when it comes to Lord of the Rings, and there's a little tabletop miniatures game that I really like.
Oh, Lord, here he is. There it comes out.
And thanks to the internet, back in the day, there would have been no way for me to find.
I am surrounded by nerds.
Yeah, all men are secret nerds. Any man that tells you he's not a nerd is hiding.
Last
his
night,
nerdiness.
we were at a table and everyone was talking about, is it War of Warcraft?
World of Warcraft.
Are
That's
they
a
the
computer game.
miniatures? No.
No, that's Warhammer.
Warhammer.
Yeah.
Warhammer,
So
sorry.
the Lord of the Rings game is made by the same company. It's a whole different rule set, whole different everything, but it is made by the same company. And I really enjoy it. I've got a whole bunch of the miniatures, and I enjoy the rule set, and I enjoy playing the games. But finding other people who are it's extremely niche. I will admit, even amongst blokes, they roll their eyes at me, right? And the internet.
I heard a lot about Warhammer last night.
But that's a very different game. So I don't play Warhammer. It's not good enough for me.
Okay. What about Dungeons and Dragons?
No, none of that nonsense. But the internet allowed me and other people who enjoy that particular very obscure niche to find each other.
Yeah.
Right. So I've actually got a lot of time for that. And
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really good thing. And yeah, okay, if people want to do that to find their political niche, sure. I mean, I can't argue with that. I've done the same thing with libertarianism. It's, we have our own little corners of the internet.
Yeah.
But when those turn toxic, that's when you've got a problem. But you can't deal with that problem by censoring the internet. You've got to deal with that problem by actually dealing with the problem, the violence, the hate, that sort of
Well,
stuff.
it's interesting because it's the same as this whole tattle life thing. We've talked about that before, but there's a court case in Ireland where they're trying to shut down the whole thing. And I've been watching it quite interestingly because obviously, people talk about free speech and things like that, and they're just exercising their right. And I'm like, I would agree with you. I know people gossip, and I've said this before, and I know people do dumb things, and they can go do their dumb things. But the problem is there's always a crossover, and people like to be able to think that the digital world and the physical realm are very different.
They're entirely separate, yeah.
But they're not, because all you have, like in Tattle Life, for example, and Tattle Life is a radical kind of conferencing area where women who are like this bloke who just killed Charlie Kirk, that's where these women are. That's the women equivalent. And they might not all be capable of doing something horrible, but many of them do horrible things.
And they revel
Correct.
in each other's behaviour.
And they cheerleader people champion people, and then they cheerleader. And then what happens is one of them goes just that one step too far. And then all of a sudden the entire group is under the microscope. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't do that. You can't blame me for this one person.
Okay, but this is really tricky. So we just saw the the US Attorney General, Pam Bondi, in the last couple of days come out talking about hate speech, basically picking up the left's rhetoric.
Yes.
And saying, there's freedom of speech, but then this is hate speech and this is different. I'm like, whoa, okay, whoa. I am not a defender of anyone who's laughing at Charlie Kirk's demise. I've been very clear on the record with all of that. But we have to be ever so careful buying into this idea. And
I don't want them silenced. I want to know exactly
where they are. I want to know what they're saying, what they think, where they are, who they are.
Say your worst.
Yep, let them speak. Now, we're allowed to respond. We're allowed to do things like no longer using their company, no longer watching their content. Employers can fire them. Employees can leave the company if their boss is the one who's saying things that they think are out of line. People are allowed to respond to what is said, but we should not be silencing people, and we should not be prosecuting people purely for words, no matter how vile those words may actually turn out to be.
I agree, and I think I actually want to know where these monsters are. And did you see this? I only saw a snippet. So the older man who said he was a shooter, got arrested.
Yes,
and he told the authorities. So talking about, for those who don't know what we're talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination, there was an older man who said he was the shooter, and then the FBI jumped on him and arrested him, and his argument to the authorities was he was doing it so that the shooter could get away.
Yeah.
So there's two things there. Morally, someone went, ooh, someone just shot this guy. Random person has no affiliation, is just going to cause a ruckus and get attention on me. Plausible, but unlikely. Or were they potentially all in a Discord get together? Who knows, right? You can get conspiratorial. But then old mate hands over his phone and it's full of child porn.
Yeah.
So now he's indicted for child porn. And I'm like, why is it always the kiddie porn people?
Yeah. And yes, we go down that path, but we're close to being out of time. But first and foremost, he's interfered with a criminal investigation. he's made a false report to police,
Yes.
which is a
He's in
criminal
lots of
offence.
trouble.
And that's before you get to the stuff that he had on his phone, but also just what it says about him. And I want to come back. We need to close, but I want to come back to the video that we haven't watched of Friendly Geordies.
Yes.
Where he talked about the fact that I've mentioned already, the Democrat leadership said all the right things. Okay, fine. But he did acknowledge that on the left, in the more general public, there was a lot of vile things that were said. But he was kind of dismissive of it, in my opinion. You and I have a different view of this particular video. It's kind of like, but they weren't the leaders.
Yeah.
Right? That's what matters. So, well, no, you create an ecosystem like what Tattle Life does, where people like this older guy who tried to take the fall for Charlie Kirk's murder go, oh, that's a good thing. I just watched someone that I don't like die. That's a good thing. What can I do? And I'm assuming the official narrative is correct, that he really did just do it off his own bat. What can I do to help out the person who just murdered someone in front of my eyes?
Yeah.
That comes from the grassroots up, and that
Correct.
comes from the ecosystem that we create. Now, some people will jump from there to, therefore we have to have speech laws that stop people from creating those ecosystems. No, therefore we need to have sunlight.
Correct.
Where these
I would say the same
ecosystems
thing.
get brought into the sun, where we actually do shame people. You've been great on this. You've been talking about the need for shame in society for a long time, and I wasn't sold to start with, but I got to tell you, you're bringing me around on this.
I'm smart. I have my moments.
I'm smart too. Me mum brung me up good, she done. I know stuff.
Are you implying that I'm a bogan?
Not at all. What I just did into the microphone has nothing at all to do with you.
Okay. Sure.
But we do need to close. I think we've kind of done all of that to death, and well, that's a terrible expression.
Well, I was
to
going to
use under
say
the circumstances, isn't it?
the Tattle Life thing, because people are asking me, how do I feel about it? I'm like, if you shut down Tattle Life, 4 other forums will pop up.
Yeah, correct.
So don't shut it down.
Yeah.
Just moderate it. So like if anyone does something that's actually illegal, like one story real quickly was some influencer's mum passed away, and this Tattle Life forum were accusing her of saying that for clout, like it didn't happen. So one of them made the effort to go to the hospital and request the death certificate. This was in England, right? So imagine that. You're dealing with the death of your mother, and then some random person who's never met you, who doesn't like you, is calling up the hospital demanding the death certificate.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty insidious.
Yeah.
So, okay, if Tattle Life's going to happen, do the moderators have to know who these people are? And then you're going to argue, well, that's censorship.
Well, now you're into regulation.
So-
Who decides what the
Correct.
threshold is, and blah, blah, blah.
And so with Tattle Life, I'm like, I believe if you're going to be in one of those forums, you should just have to do it with your name and your face. People will argue you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I get it, but
Bottom line is you can't regulate the internet. This
Yeah.
is the same thing that that Julian Grant, the e-safety commissioner, is going to find out the hard way after the 10th of December when this under-16s social media ban comes in. In the same way as you just said, if you ban Tattle Life, 4 more spring up. If you ban 16-year-olds or 15-year-olds off the existing social media platforms, they will find another one.
Yeah.
And that will be completely
They'll end
outside
up hanging-
of everyone's visibility.
on those porn websites, there's comment threads. They'll end up hanging out in places like that.
Yeah. It's going to be terrible for young people and for their exposure to exactly the sort of content
They'll
that
just
we're
go to
supposed
darker
be protecting them
places.
from. But the bottom line is actually if you just take a step back and look a little bit more at the broader sweep of history, in my opinion, these things have a way of sorting themselves out.
Mhm.
And even if you look at the history of the internet, these things have a way of sorting themselves out. The contents of Discord conversations have a way of getting out. 4chan threads have a way of getting out. Tattle Life has a way of stumbling and falling and, in its case, not having security on all the identities of its people and all that kind of nonsense, right? There is, I'm clearly I'm not God, but I can kind of appreciate how God can kind of sit back and with a longer term view, and in his case it's millennia, just go, it's all right. It all sorts itself out.
Yeah. You've got to wait for the. I don't want to keep talking about it because I know we've got to wrap up. But the best quote I've ever heard is, "Let muddy waters lie," and I think I butchered it. It's something like that. Basically, talking about muddy water eventually will clear itself.
Settle itself out. Yeah.
You've got to let the sediment settle.
Yeah.
So the more you disturb the muddy water, the more you're kicking up. Right.
Turbulent it is.
Yeah, and I was like, that is such a profound quote when you think about it. But I was going to say on the Tattle Life thing, I had a comment. Can't remember what it was. It's gone.
Well, that's a great way to end the podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, my brain just
quality. Quality. Well, we have been going for 3 hours and 15 minutes. What do you, no, you've already had your good news.
No, we're finishing.
We're not doing this. Are we giving away extra good news for free?
No,
we should charge for this. This is bonus good news.
We're finishing the show on a good
Oh,
note.
fine.
These are oddies out in the wild.
Oh, nice. I recognise you. Hello.
That's Melissa.
I wasn't going to say their names.
Oh,
but
that is Lady A, Lady B.
Yes.
Sorry. I probably just just give them away?
I don't know. I don't know if they want to be given away.
Well, yeah,
or not,
they sent us the photos.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
so Oddie
well
merch
done, ladies.
in the real
in
world.
In the wild.
Which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to buy some merch, you can.
At goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com.
And not only that, you can buy us a coffee.
Oh, it's on your side. Well, hey,
there it is.
Yep.
That one. And we have had lots of people buy a coffee. So I just want to say thank you to I probably shouldn't say your name, should I? Is that bad?
If they haven't explicitly said they want their name said, then probably not.
Yeah. So.
But if they've left comments and stuff, we can read those.
All right. I'll read comments without names. How's that?
Because it's not like when they comment on a YouTube channel where it's like it comes with their name.
Yeah. Okay. So at the risk of outing people, I won't say your name. But if you want me to say your name, please leave that in the comment. I'll just read a couple. Keep up the good work, guys. And then Topher, I sub to you as only Australian political informant with eyes on the rest of the political world and from godly perspective. I admire the fact that you can tell the raw truth. First time seeing Carly, but like the fact she is open to hear without offence. She is strong. Thank you.
Good comment.
A lot of them are just tips, which is lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep spreading the good messages. We answered Katie's message on Monday. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. So
lots of
encouragement.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And
appreciate it.
You can message us through Coffee. So if you want to message us directly through there,
the app. Coffee is that.
That's the buy us a coffee. It's actually called Coffee. Website. And we will read your messages on the show or answer your questions. So
usually on the Monday night show, but sometimes on the Wednesday show.
And
too.
someone wrote, "This partnership is a winning formula. Keep getting better. Love you guys."
I agree.
My job is to just make your life miserable, and I do it really well.
I tell you what, stick with what you're good at.
Yeah.
You are good.
I am great at that.
Yeah.
Next week we're in a totally different studio.
Ooh, I look forward to that. It's kind of a repeat of our origin story. We're going through the same birthing pains again.
We are, because I was going to go out and buy new furniture and stuff, but the budget is a little bit.
Yeah.
So we might have to wait.
Yeah.
Because
we'll just be standing.
Well, I'm buying myself a standing desk. And I've now gone down the rabbit hole of researching, and there's a little bit more to it than so I'm like, I'm just going to hold off buying that until I know.
You're becoming a hippie.
No, You're going
to be sitting on one of those balls, the big inflatable
No,
balls.
I just get really sedentary and it's not good for you. So I just should probably, stand up, sit down, all those things. Anyway, enough about that. Go away.
Riveting content to finish off the podcast.
Hope you guys enjoyed that.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
And hopefully, the world just chills out for a week, so it's not so.
Yeah. Please, everybody, be nice to each other. Hug your kids. Hug your significant others. Hug your parents.
And just don't leave chicken in the noodle aisle.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's my new slogan.
Yeah.
That's everyone will know that for the rest of my life.
Don't leave chicken in the noodle aisle. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's think free, but hey, yours is good too.
Mine gets people thinking. Yours is think free. I'm like.
Yeah, because they're confused. They're like, what?
Ponder. Ponder this statement. Anyway.
All right, we got to get out of here. Bye.
Bye.
You already went to the loo.